$1,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
As we near the end of this year, if you're looking for a new senior living community, check out Hampton Manor of Wentzville. Mark Cox here. This beautiful, brand new senior living community is located just a half-mile north of the Lake St. Louis exit at Highway 70. It's a single-story community built by someone who has built resort-style living without the resort-style price. Take your visit right now. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Go online to WentzvilleAssistedLiving.com.
Ring in the new year with the ultimate timeless gift, a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Whether you're ready to pop the question or celebrating a lifetime of love in 2024, Diamonds Direct can make this New Year's one to remember forever. Diamonds Direct is the area's destination for exquisite diamonds in all shapes and sizes, and our nationwide price guarantee ensures you'll get the best value, period. To showcase that spectacular diamond, we have literally thousands of designer settings from all the top names like Tacori, Verragio, Simon G, A. Jaffe, and many more. And our experts will guide you every step of the way with the education you want and the respect you deserve. Engagement rings, wedding bands, eternity bands, fashion rings. At Diamonds Direct, we specialize in the ultimate symbol of love, and we welcome the opportunity to celebrate with you. So start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Diamonds Direct at Olive and 270, official partner of the St. Louis Blues and proud to call the Gateway City home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Pluto TV is your home for the holidays. Enjoy Christmas classics like Scrooged with Bill Murray or Last Holiday with Queen Latifah, all for free. Download the Pluto TV app on your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Is your garage door loud? Letting cold air in around the frame? For just $69, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will perform their 26-task garage door tune-up. Just $69 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. OverheadDoorSt.Louis.com.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome in. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey on this Friday. Happy to be with you today, live also on YouTube if you want to follow us on there. Leah is continuing to watch comments. And is there a YouTube poll today, Leah?
There is.
Oh, okay. So what can the people vote on today?
Today we want to know your New Year's Eve plans. Are you staying in? Are you going out? Or are you just sleeping?
Okay. All the cool kids stay in. Cool kids stay in and sleep. No need to go out and cause a ruckus. That's a young guy's game anymore. Okay, so go and vote on that on the YouTube page. If you want to join us on social media, you can do that as well. Or if you want to find me online, Ryan Recker Radio. So you saw the big news about how in Maine, the partisan Secretary of State decided that Donald Trump could not be included in the ballot for the primary, the Republican primary. In 2024, it's already shaping up to be quite the year. I would say we had somewhat of a Christmas miracle happen over at CNN because I was looking at some reaction to this. And for the most part, there is bipartisan backlash saying that this is just nonsense, that you would exclude him from this ballot. And even on CNN, there was a person they were interviewing, legal expert, and he was discussing the case and why you should or why you shouldn't, meaning just trying to set up the legal framework of how Maine is trying to justify this, but also how this doesn't work. And I was so shocked that CNN may have had perhaps the most rational guest to lay this out in the most rational way. I was so shocked. I thought to myself, this is Tiny Tim could come out right now and say, this is a Christmas miracle. God bless us one and all. And that's the only thing that would top off something like this. Do you want to hear CNN's reaction? Let me play this for you. So what you'll hear first is a clip of the CNN host actually setting this up, and then you'll hear the lawyer's reaction.
The 14th Amendment, Section 3, says in plain text that if you shall have engaged in insurrection, you can't be in office. She takes that to mean...
All right, I'm going to pause it for a moment. So this is the CNN commentator that leads into this. And the way the CNN commentator brings it up is, it's obviously true. We're dealing with a known insurrectionist here. You know how you know is because we've been telling you that same lie for the past 2 years, 3 years now. And nonstop have we been broadcasting that. So that's how you know it's true, because CNN told you it's true. So they're already setting this up with the premise that obviously the guy created an insurrection and obviously he deserves to be off the ballot. Obviously we hate the guy. Everybody does. So CNN already is laying the groundwork of how I would expect CNN to approach this topic. So let's start it again. Listen to it.
The 14th Amendment, Section 3, says in plain text that if you shall have...
Listen to how he says it. In plain text.
Says in plain text that if you shall have engaged in insurrection, you can't be in office. She takes that to mean that if she determines that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection, he can't be on the Maine primary ballot. Is it that simple?
No. Is it that simple? Isn't it just that simple? So the CNN anchor is there, obviously, and he's almost speaking as if he's Casey Kasem, like he's setting it up like a radio disc jockey, and he's pushing his voice a little bit. And Casey Kasem's here to tell you, we're going to count back the indictments. But what ends up happening is he says, okay, that's the interpretation of the law. Thus, they have the ability to interfere in this election to remove him off the ballot. Because this is what essentially it amounts to, isn't it? To me, when I look at it, it is election interference. It's someone that's highly partisan, that obviously hates Donald Trump. I don't think there's any question about it. That really didn't have any sort of trial or any sort of hearing, just arbitrarily decided based on her viewing of CNN that this guy obviously doesn't deserve to be the president of the United States again. Thus, the people shouldn't be allowed to see his name on the ballot. This is, again, the fallacy that I think CNN has set up and kind of put themselves in this trap is they use this propaganda line over and over and over again. And now we're starting to see some people act on it, and they're making it sound like, oh, it's just obvious because, I mean, haven't we been talking about it this whole time? When it's one viewpoint that really isn't a view, it's a viewpoint. That's all it is. If it was something that you can act upon, as in we're going to remove you from a ballot, that would be a whole different story. But what you are acting on is something that isn't concrete. You're acting on an opinion. And now you're interfering with an election. You're allowing your hatred, your bias of the Republican Party or Donald Trump to get in the way of your official duties. So here's how the legal expert breaks it out. And he does such a better job at it.
No, it's not that simple. So clearly Section...
I love it how he says, no, it's not that simple.
No, it's not that simple. So clearly Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says, engage in insurrection, you're out. We all have that. The complicated part, and where we are going to see this play out in the courts, is who gets to decide and by what process. Now, it's important to note, and in the ruling, the Secretary of State we just heard from says she's basically following the same legal reasoning as the Colorado Supreme Court did last week. And she says in her ruling, if this gets struck down in Colorado, we're out of luck too. So she's basing it on the same legal argument. Let me sort of lay out the arguments both sides. And by the way, it's worth saying, we're all theorizing here. We're in legally unknown territory. The argument against is, first of all, the 14th Amendment, Section 5 says Congress has the authority to pass laws to implement this. They did. They passed the criminal law. And the argument is that means Congress, not the states. But perhaps, and this is the argument that the Maine Secretary of State in Colorado made, the states can do it too. If that's true, then Section 2, Question 2 is, were the processes, were these hearings fair? Did they comport with due process? And I think there's a question there.
All right, I'm going to move it a little bit further here, but I wanted to pause it real quick. So this is where I'm going to give this guest in CNN proper credit. He goes on to CNN. They lead him in to say, it's obvious the guy is a bad dude, a bad hombre. He's Donald Trump after all. And haven't you been watching our network the past couple of years? Don't you know? So they get out there and he basically says, here's the argument. Here's what their argument is. Here's what the counter argument is. Fantastic guest. I just got to say, they did an awesome job booking this guy because I think he's laying it out in the exact way that it needs to be laid out. And when you look at these two sides in the way that both of them are being argued, I think it's very clear that he should be on the ballot. So let's listen some more.
Fair. Did they comport with due process? And I think there's a question there with regard to what Maine did, because if you look at the hearing, and she details this in the ruling, they heard from one fact witness, a law professor. She based her ruling on a lot of documents, but also YouTube clips, news reports, things that would never pass the bar in normal court. She's not a lawyer, by the way. It's a smartly written decision, clearly consulted with lawyers, but this is an unelected. She's chosen by the state legislature.
She's elected by the
chosen, elected by the legislature, but not democratically elected. Not a knock. That's just the way it's set up in Maine. And this hearing, look, it doesn't have to be a criminal trial. We don't have to have all the protections. But I think...
Yeah, let's pause it here for a second. So imagine if, like, perhaps, I know Secretary of State, it varies, state to state on what certain things are called. But let's say in Maine, they have a Secretary of State. Let's just say, hypothetically, this was the state of Missouri, and the super liberal legislation decided to make Kim Gardner the Secretary of State. And Kim Gardner said, I've seen a couple of YouTube videos and I watch MSNBC. I know what's up. We're going to ban Donald Trump from the ballot here in Missouri. That's essentially what's happening here. Unelected. And then you're taking someone that's highly partisan, that was put into the position, not elected by the people, not accountable by the people either in that sense. So that's why you're starting to see some real flimsy justifications for the judgment that's going on here in Maine.
But this is an unelected. She's chosen by the state legislature.
She's elected by the
chosen elected by the legislature, but not democratically elected. Not a knock. That's just the way it's set up in Maine. And this hearing, look, it doesn't have to be a criminal trial. We don't have to have all the protections. But I think the argument you'll hear from opponents is, one, not up to the states to do this. This is why we have all different decisions from all different states. And two, the procedures were not up to snuff.
100%. 100%. Do you think the procedures were up to snuff? And you say, what procedures? Oh, you mean someone watched a couple of YouTube videos and they decided they didn't like Donald Trump, so he's off. And oh, yeah, and they also looked at Colorado and said, well, if they're doing it, I guess we could be cool too, and we can do it here. That was the procedures. And again, a Christmas miracle, CNN brought on a good guest. And they actually had a great analysis for it without it going completely off the rails and cuckoo crazy. Now, part of this, too, is you find that there's a lot of bipartisan support to say that this should be overturned, not only in Colorado, but in Maine. And so many people have come forward to say that Donald Trump should be on the ballot, Democrats and Republicans alike. Even the Republicans that hate Donald Trump have come forward so far and said they like the idea of being able to beat him at the ballot box, not through these shady means that they're setting up already. So I got to say, way to go, CNN. And that is one of the big main stories. You heard Fox News cover it in the top of the hour news. Here's some of the other comments that are coming in. Representative Jared Golden noted in a statement, and he's a Democrat from Maine, that he voted to impeach Trump over January 6th and opposes his reelection, but said, quote, we are a nation of laws. Therefore, until he is actually found guilty of the crime of insurrection, he should be allowed on the ballot, end quote. Now, they're throwing everything else at him. What they haven't done, I don't think, for anyone, how many people have they actually charged with insurrection in connection with January 6th? I want to say, don't think the number is more than 0. Is that 0? I'll have to double check that, but it's a low number. Part of the reason is because you have to reach that threshold and how you would be able to prove it. But what we're also finding when it comes to January 6th is a lot of conflicting evidence has started to find its way into the public's view, mostly because we found the new House Speaker that said, I think the public deserves to be able to see everything that's been documented so far, much like the investigators on January 6th, the committee was able to put together. And what we find were a few things with this video and a lot of the other parts that were not made available to the public. One, there's another side of the story. Two, they showed a very one-sided side of the story as part of this January 6th commission. Three, they really didn't make any attempt to play this honestly. They only made an attempt to take the things they liked and presented that. And what you find with some of this video is they made it sound like these were bloodthirsty human beings that were going in there like it was a war movie, like it was World War II, and it was basically the Nazis versus the Allies. And that was a bunch of Nazis going into this building here. But what you find is that it was a lot more organized and calm, and a lot of people just got mixed up into it. But they were put into solitary confinement for their walking into a building and leaving the building. And some people still either under house arrest or maybe not even had the trial date that they should have. We're dating back a couple of years at this point, is a kind of a ridiculous way if you think about it. So there is another side of the story. All I'm saying is part of January 6th and what we're starting to see with all of this, to say that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist is not only jumping the gun, it's irresponsible. And at this point, when it comes to Maine, what you're also pointing out, I think, is a true example of election interference by forcing him off the ballot so late in the game, right before the primaries are about to start, and doing so in such an arbitrary way that it's obvious that you're doing it because you don't like the guy. You could have started this a long time ago. You could have done this any other time, but you're doing it, weeks before a primary is about to begin? Get out of here with that. So let's also say, hypothetically, the Supreme Court takes the petition of the Republicans from Colorado, and they decide to look at the petition and actually see this and then rule that, no, you can't remove him from the ballot based on the criteria that we're seeing right now, especially through the means that you went through about it. So let's say this is struck down, and the same thing happens in Maine, struck down. Then what happens to all the mail-in ballots we're talking about a day before the primary election is supposed to start? So what happens do you delay the election? That's what I haven't seen yet. How do you make sure the election is fair after your bias against Donald Trump has already played a factor here? How can you go back and make sure you can have a fair primary election if you're trying to push this up so close to the date of voting? Maybe this is part of the strategy as well for them. And if that's the case, that is election interference. So all of these things still need to be answered. And this is very murky territory. And it does need to be addressed. And at this point, I think the Supreme Court does need to step in and be very clear, because otherwise, what are we going to do? We're going to just rely on the individual discretion of rogue Secretary of States to decide state by state on unelected officials that hate Donald Trump being able to determine if he's allowed to run for office under the criteria of their own. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. If you want to reach the show, I'll take a look at some of the message on the YouTube page. You know, we don't normally take phone calls, but I guess we could potentially take some phone calls if you wanted to. I guess, maybe. Can't we, Leah? I don't know. Should we?
I mean, we can.
We don't have to. I don't know. It's kind of leading into a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
We could just have some fun. I was hoping you could explain to me the Gypsy Rose Blanchard's release from prison and why it's a big deal. Maybe we can do that coming up in the next break as well. I'm Ryan Recker filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
Let's go out with a bang. I'm way too young to lie here forever. I'm way too old to try, so whatever, come hang. Let's go out with a bang.
Hey, Mark Cox here. I recently learned something new from St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She told me the number of all-cash home sales is at the highest level since 2011. Makes sense. Gloria knows that today home sellers have options outside of a real estate agent or an auction company, and that a cash offer may be the best solution. Unlike a local investor or a real estate agent that gives you just one option, Gloria Liu's able to provide multiple cash offers quickly by visiting her website. You also get a guaranteed offer from one of her motivated buyers in waiting. So if you'd like to receive multiple cash offers on your home quickly, visit gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com. You can sell as is without having to make any costly repair and choose your closing date. Get multiple cash offers for your home today at gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com.
The winter temps can be brutal for many Missouri and Illinois neighbors. As people make tough choices, there is relief available in Illinois and Missouri through heatupstlouis.org and its partners. This is Randy Naughton, encouraging you to remember families and seniors this holiday season. Please avoid unsafe methods of heating and check on your neighbors. Need help? Give help at heatupstlouis.org. That's heatupstlouis.org.
While no child should have to spend the holidays in the hospital, there are many at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital who will not be able to experience the joy of opening gifts around their tree. Please join 97.1 FM Talk and give the gift of hope and healing to Cardinal Glennon kids and support the Tree of Hope year-end giving campaign. Your gift ensures these brave patients can continue to receive the critical care they need during these challenging times. Thank you for giving at treeofhope.org.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
A people, a state of mind, all in one. It's Wiggins America, and it's every Saturday from 6 to 8 a.m. and Sunday evenings from 5 to 7. So stamp your passport. Wiggins America, 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show.
And welcome back. Happy to be with you here today. And sometimes there's pop culture things that go on, and I really don't care about them, mostly because I don't follow pop culture, but then they intersect with the real world at times. Like Taylor Swift's a good example of this. I really don't care about Taylor Swift. Then all of a sudden she's a billionaire. And she puts out a movie, and it's like the top movie at the box office. And she starts dating an NFL tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. And everyone's talking about her all the time. She's oversaturated everywhere you look. It's Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. Maybe one of the biggest musicians of all time. Possibly, I would say, if you were to make a run at the Beatles, there's a Taylor Swift argument that could be made. Not that she's anywhere close, musically speaking. But what I'm saying is in popularity. My goodness, are you kidding with Taylor Swift? And it's been like that for a long time. And she's been able to keep her popularity. There's another thing that was on People Magazine, TMZ. It was a woman by the name of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, I think is her name. And I asked Leah, I said, why does everyone care about her? What's going on? Who's Gypsy Rose? And Leah's like, oh, I know who that is. I can talk about that. So can you explain to me why she was in prison and now she's out and it's a big deal?
Yeah,
Can you help me understand this?
Yeah, I got a summary of what happened. So let's see. Gypsy Road, the story revolves around a mother and daughter that lived in Springfield, Missouri. Gypsy Rose lived under the care of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, who portrayed Gypsy as severely ill, saying she suffered from a range of medical conditions, including leukemia, muscular dystrophy, and other ailments. Dee Dee kept Gypsy isolated from the outside world, portraying her as much younger than her actual age and controlling every aspect of her life, including medical treatments and medications. This led to widespread sympathy and support from the community, and numerous charities provided support to the seemingly struggling family.
Oh.
All of Gypsy's...
So wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So the mom was lying about her daughter's ailments in order to get not only public sympathy, but donations and goodwill?
Correct.
Okay, and the mom lied about it, and the daughter, it's like she couldn't tell anyone? She had to keep this secret?
The daughter didn't know. So the mom raised her as, like, all Gypsy knew was that she...
Daughter, you have leukemia, and she just went along with it like, okay, I guess I have leukemia.
I think the mom had her in a wheelchair from like a super young age and just kept her in that and told Gypsy, like she had the mind of a 7-year-old and just she grew up like go through all this, so that's all she knew. She didn't know that she was just told, "Hey, you're sick," and that's
Yeah,
she
you're
believed it.
dying. You're
Yeah.
sick. You're in a wheelchair. Don't bother walking. You're too fragile to walk. And the
Yeah.
daughter just accepts it all because mom says it, and you're gonna believe what mom says. Wow, this is horribly tragic so far.
Yeah.
All I know is she was released from prison. So what happens after this? What goes on? The daughter was in prison. I don't get that. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, all these health issues were fabricated by her mom. In 2015, Gypsy conspired with her boyfriend to murder Dee Dee as an escape from the life of manipulation. The case gained notoriety for its shocking revelations and shedding light on, I'm going to mess this up, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Gypsy was sentenced in prison while her boyfriend received a life sentence for the murder.
Her boyfriend?
Yeah, because the boyfriend was the one that actually killed her mom.
Oh, wow.
She was just in on it, but she didn't do it.
So the mom gets murdered,
Mm-hmm.
and then Gypsy goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And why is Gypsy in jail? I might have missed that. What was the crime that she committed? Just being ignorant?
She was part of, she didn't do the act of herself of, killing her mom, but she was in on it with her boyfriend. They were working together.
Okay,
yeah,
so
they were working together.
The boyfriend. Okay, maybe I misheard you. So I thought when you said boyfriend, it was his. I thought you meant her mom's boyfriend.
No, Gypsy's boyfriend.
No, her boyfriend. Okay, so she gets in on it. Mom dies, is killed. Boyfriend goes to jail. She goes to jail for the conspiracy to kill her mom and her involvement in it. And then she's in jail, not in a wheelchair with no leukemia. She's walking in jail.
Yep, correct. So
whoa,
before they killed her mom or whatever, I don't know how it came to be, but Gypsy eventually realized that she was perfectly healthy and there was nothing wrong with her. So that's what
she
led.
thought she was Superman. I just had a miracle.
Yeah, that's what led to her boyfriend and her conspiring to kill her mom.
Wow. Could you imagine that? Imagine going to one of those prosperity preaching churches and they're like, bring them up. And then they kind of have one of those moments where everyone's just going absolutely crazy. The music is just escalating faster and faster. And you have one of those preachers that are knocking people over. And that goes up, and then all of a sudden she starts walking. You imagine it would have been one of those moments she finds out. That would have been a true television moment right there.
Yeah. So, and then this story has been adapted into documentaries, and specifically the TV series called The Act, which was on Hulu from a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So she's out of jail now. So how long was she in jail for?
I think it was 8 years or something.
Oh,
7
wow.
or
That's a
8
long
years.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, her mom doesn't sound like a great lady. All around, this is such a messy thing. So now she's out of prison. She's walking. She's fine. Would the irony be she actually gets leukemia? Would that be the irony of all of this and no one's going to believe her?
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. Do you think people generally like her? Do you think if they did an approval rating, she'd be above 50%?
I think so. When I was looking back at this, I was I don't support murder, but at the same time, this may have been
If I did,
this may have been called for. I kind of support Gypsy here. I'm happy.
Wow.
I'm happy to see her out of prison and healthy and living her best life now.
So there's TMZ. Gypsy Rose, is she married now to the boyfriend? Or is this
I don't
someone
know.
different?
I would imagine no, because her boyfriend.
I don't know if it was a boyfriend. So she was posting photos in the hotel room. She's doing these selfie photos.
Yeah, I saw those.
And now shows her freedom. And now she says her main goal in life is to go to a Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, I didn't see that.
She's like, you know what really got me through my hard times was Taylor Swift.
That's awesome.
Oh boy,
yeah.
You and I both, Gypsy Rose.
I get that.
All right, so people like her. Not that you endorse murdering, but if you did, this would be the way you'd do it. Gypsy Rose Blanchard out of prison. I know everyone was worried that she would get out before the new year, so she gets to celebrate it here in 2024. That's a long time to spend in prison. To think the prison that was that wheelchair of hers, to think of you had the ability to walk this whole time, and the lifestyle your mom forced on you when you were younger. So that's something else. See, I was vaguely familiar with the television show, mostly because but I didn't realize that was her, and I didn't realize the story ended in the murder of the mom. I didn't realize that. All right. Well, that's a great story. Thank you for helping me understand this a little bit better.
Sure.
Not that I sympathize with her. I don't think she should be a liked person. She shouldn't be liked. We should look at her as a cautionary tale. All teenage girls should understand this story. And somehow this is made into what would feel like a German fairy tale, like a 1500s German fairy tale. That's what has all the earmarks of something like that. Maybe Taylor Swift will write a song about her. I don't know. Maybe she'll invite her to the wedding, her and the Travis Kelce wedding. You're a big Taylor Swift fan, right?
Of course.
Do you think she's oversaturated? Are you sick of hearing Taylor Swift stories?
Well, hold on to everything, but actually I am. I told my parents that the other night, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm getting a little burned out."
So you go home, you have the Taylor Swift bedspread, and you're like, all right, just like you're like 12 again. And, you have the comforter, big Taylor Swift picture, and then you have the pillow sheet, and you flipped it over to the other side because you're sick of looking at her all the time. That's how bad it's gotten to Taylor Swift right now. Is that about right?
Sure. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I think Taylor Swift has definitely run her course. But, 2024 is a new year. She'll find other things like a breakup or something that'll help her, give her people to talk about it. And, later in the show, too, we're going to look at some of the biggest searched trends of the year. And, of course, Taylor Swift is one of them. Another story I saw, and this is over in Canada, and I think this is a cautionary tale. It's one of those tales where you hear you get what you pay for. And this is certainly a you get what you pay for scenario. So here's what ends up happening. You're in Canada, you pay high taxes, but part of the offset of the high taxes is that you get free healthcare, quote unquote free. But you're paying for it, but you're really not because it's kind of bundled in. So they say this is great. It's 40% tax rate or something like that up in Canada. But at least I know when there's an emergency, I can go in and get checked out and I can go see a doctor. Well, as it turns out, there's a pretty big waiting list in Canadian hospitals right now. More than 3 million Canadians are currently waiting for surgeries, specialists, or scans. So if you are in need of emergency care, it's very difficult because there's a long waiting list. You're not alone, and there's a lot of other people. So what does that mean, and what can we learn from that here in the United States? Well, I think we glorify universal health care and say that wouldn't it be great? Because ultimately, when people need help, we should be able to help them. And I think we look at Medicare and Medicaid and say we're able to handle those scenarios where the government gets the bill and it's paid for. But wouldn't it be better if every single American, regardless if they work or not or whatever, or regardless if they come into our country illegally or not, whatever, they are able to get health care when they need it? Well, ironically, if you don't have any health insurance and you go to a hospital in an emergency, they're going to treat you anyway. So I guess if you come into this country and you don't have any documentation, you're still going to be able to get in and see the care that you need. That still happens. But let's look at everyone else. And some people are paying a ton of money for health insurance every month. If you have to force yourself into Obamacare, there's some plans where you're paying like $700 a month and the premium is like sky high, $10,000 yearly deductible or premium, I should say. Maybe I'm getting the terms mixed up, but what I'm saying is it's not a perfect system, but it is a system. Let's say we up everyone's taxes by 10%, and we'll say, you know what? The amount of money that you make, we're just going to take an extra 10%, and we're going to pay for everyone's health care. Everyone's going to be taken care of, and you're going to get better service. I want you to put that red flag up as soon as someone says you'll get better service, because odds are you won't. What'll end up happening is that there'll be more people flocking to the services that normally would have been private, and they're going to have less reservation to go see doctors for things they may not need to see doctors for, or maybe if they do go see doctors, what you'll find is that these places will then build a government as opposed to a private insurer, and when they build a government, they're going to charge more for it. When they charge more for it, the price of it goes up. When the price of it goes up, then your portion of what you pay through your taxes will have to go up, or it's offset through something else. They'll have to take away from something else. It's just how it works. So you have to sign off and be prepared for that. Now, if I were a betting man, I would say that we are going to move to a universal health care in this country at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen. It might be 15 years from now. It might be far off, but I think it's going to happen at some point. I think this is something that both Republicans and Democrats are going to find, that we've had so much damage in this country because of poor medical advice during COVID from our own people, our own national people that advised us in the wrong direction. There's going to be so many conflicts in the future that we can't trust whatever the official word is, that we're just going to find it nearly impossible. And it's going to be so hard for private insurers to cover all of this that the government's going to say this is the only option, because all these other companies are going to start either charging you an arm and a leg, even more so, or even worse, they'll just shut down and refuse to use services. So I don't want to look dystopian here, but I do believe it's going to happen at some point. Okay. But here's what's going on in Canada, because you need to know what's going to happen next.
A new report from think tank secondstreet.org has found the number of Canadians dying while on medical wait lists has reached a 5-year high. Government data shows more than 17,000 patients died on a wait list between April 1st of last year and March 31st of this year, including 402 people here in Saskatchewan.
402 people died who are waiting for surgery in Saskatchewan. That doesn't encapsulate the failure system-wide that we're learning more and more about each and every day.
And let's just be honest, who does that hurt the most? I'm going to guess it's people that are the sickest, have other conditions, underlying conditions, and the elderly. That's who's going to be affected by this the most. Maybe if you're younger and you can wait a little bit longer for a surgery, it's not going to hurt you as much because you're a healthier body. If you're older, other complications, and you're waiting for a surgery, then what's going to happen? Either you put a higher priority on, let's say, older people, and then the balance shifts a little bit. Now it's an even bigger mess. This is kind of what we're trying to avoid. So how do you avoid a system like that where these things happen? I don't think there's an answer. So when anyone says there is an answer, I don't think there is an answer. So now we have to decide what is the best system for us to use. Is it what we're doing right now? Is it something else? Is it a combination of it? I've always theorized that it would be better if the government perhaps just we had some sort of catastrophic insurance that was included with your citizenship, meaning that you don't have to go into bankruptcy and lose every single one of your possessions in life to go into medical debt that you're never going to pay off in the course of your life. Maybe if we had some sort of catastrophic insurance, so that way you at least know you'll be able to keep a house and a car and some of the things you like. Maybe that could be a compromise. We got to take a break. I know we're running late, but when we come back, I really don't know what the answer is. And I don't think we're going to find it on this couple of days before New Year's Eve. I'm Ryan Recker filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
Many days fell away with nothing to show, and the walls kept tumbling down in the city that we love. Great clouds all over the hills, bringing darkness from above. But if you close your eyes,
want to make a meaningful resolution for 2024? Learning a new language with Rosetta Stone helps you reignite your sense of adventure and broaden your perspective, whether you plan to travel the world or just want to finally commit to improving your Spanish. Their award-winning app features lessons as short as 5 minutes to make it easy to stick with your resolution. Plus, they offer live lessons where expert tutors teach fun new words related to local holidays, cultural traditions, food and drink, and more during engaging live streams. With Rosetta Stone, you'll learn the language and the culture. Their lifetime subscription gives you access to all 25 of their languages forever, and you can get it for 50% off right now. You'll pay once and enjoy forever, so you don't need to worry about another monthly subscription. This limited time offer ends soon, so hurry to rosettastone.com/radio to get a lifetime subscription for just $199. Make a resolution you'll actually want to keep with Rosetta Stone.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
The people have spoken. I want to thank you, St. Louis, for voting Onder Law 2023's best St. Louis law firm.
When you're injured, call Onder Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Mark Cox here for my friend Grill Master Tony. Tony would like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And he says thanks for a great year to all our 97.1 listeners. You can order anytime online at grillmastertony.com. Tony is the go-to guy for all of your family catering and your corporate catering. He can make a great brisket or a prime rib and all the sides and deliver it right to your house, ready to eat. Go online today to grillmastertony.com.
The YouTube live chat poll today is, what are your plans for New Year's Eve? Are you going out, staying in, or are you sleeping? Let us know what your plans are. The time is 12:43. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This is where real local and national accountability happens. This is 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Well, thanks for playing Taylor Swift. This is great. This is Taylor Swift, right?
It's Bruno Mars. I have Taylor Swift in the last hour for you.
Oh, Bruno Swift. Got it. I just feel so out of the loop. I just don't know any of the music anymore. You get to a certain age and things just start changing so fast and you don't really care enough to keep up with it. And next thing you know, it's almost like watching sports. It's a strange thing. You could watch sports growing up, and if you ever stop watching sports, next thing you know, you turn around and any player you knew no longer in the league. And you're like, what happened? Like, where did all the people I recognize go? And I don't have the ability to learn all the new people. It's too hard. Too hard. I don't got, to quote a very famous woman, ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm looking at some of the big box office hits from this past year, ones that didn't hit. 2024 box office could lose $1 billion due to lack of major Hollywood movies. And that surprises me because you had a couple of $1 billion movies, I thought. I thought in 2024 you had... what was it? The Barbie and Oppenheimer. I thought both of those did very, very well in the box office. But it says this year there was quite a few new installments to popular franchises. Next year, meaning. So they're saying things like the Deadpool movie, the new Planet of the Apes, the new Dune, a new Godzilla. Those are all things that are going to be coming out next year. But maybe on a side note, I remember the first Dune came out and everyone thought it was great. I thought it was the dumbest movie. It was so boring. I can't believe people liked it. It was one of those movies where I almost got mad that people liked this. I thought, why? It's so slow. But this is what they're saying. The domestic box office is expected to crash 11% in 2024, landing $1 billion below the roughly $9 billion gross from 2023. Major driving factor for those projections is that only 107 movies will be slated next year as compared to the 124 that premiered through 2023. So you have this down year, but we're looking at the box office next year down $1 billion. Maybe I misquoted, but saying the biggest box office, they're scared next year. It's just going to be a bad year. You know what I noticed a lot of movie theaters started to do? They started to show old movies, like re-releasing old films and hoping that the nostalgia factor will bring you in. And though it has been very tempting, I have yet to take it up on that. I kept telling my son, we should go see Back to the Future next time they have it in the theater. And every once in a while they do. But here's what ends up happening. I don't go to the movie theater enough to actually make the effort to go do it. It's a big, big commitment. It says that, particularly the case with Barbieheimer, 2023 saw a number of surprises like Barbie and Oppenheimer. Both those movies rise worldwide top 3 for the year. I know the Taylor Swift movie got a lot of money. Wasn't it number 1 on the movies charts for a couple of weeks in a row?
I think so.
And it's, what was the name of the movie, Leah? It was
the Eras Tour.
Eras Tour?
Eras.
Oh, I see, because she's so old now that she spans multiple eras. And she's out there and she made a ton of money doing that. And she's a billionaire now. So she just keeps finding more ways to make money. I'm kind of jealous in the sense that she is just like a behemoth. I I wonder again what would take her down because all things come to an end at some point. You know what I would like to see with Taylor Swift? I would like to see her put out an album and it bombs. Wouldn't that be great? Because all of her albums are like huge successes. She's due for a bomb. So maybe 2024 will be the year of Taylor's bomb. And then they're going to blame it on Travis Kelce. And they'll say, you're spending too much time with these boys. It's hurting you artistically. Or she'll just re-release old material and make $1 billion off of that too. Also, starting to get a little bit of traction here. Amazon says that its streaming services are going to start charging in 2024. What a bad experience. I think about the way I experienced music growing up. Either you listened to it on the radio or you went to a music store, a Sam Goody or whatever, or you were part of one of those music clubs where you paid a penny, you got like 10 cassette tapes in the mail, and then you had to buy additional CDs for like $20 a piece, much more than you would pay in the store, to be part of this music club. I used to do that. I was part of the music club. I got the cheap albums, and then I bought some from them. And then when my obligation was over, it was over. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was a good deal getting 12 CDs in the mail or 6 CDs in the mail, whatever it was. It was awesome. But then eventually you found other ways to get music. You could purchase the albums online. You didn't have to go to a physical store. And then eventually there were the iPods where you can just purchase the individual song for about 99 cents. That was such a big deal. And then after that, now you can stream it for free. YouTube, Spotify, stuff like that. But I think each time they moved forward, they found a way to better serve the individual, the user. They found a way to make the experience better. You know, you can't go around with a record player on your shoulder or a boombox forever. But eventually they found a way, and it became easier, more accessible. And actually, it was great. It helped you discover new music that way. You became more inclined to, I guess, purchase music from people you wouldn't have. And, you know, then it started to decline a little bit. People weren't spending as much, and now more people streaming, and the artists aren't making as much as they used to based on album sales. But still, the user experience was very pleasant. Movies and television almost have gone in the opposite direction. Movies a little bit less than television, but what they found was you got a DVR. That was a game changer. You could skip through commercials on your individual couch, much like the VCR, but this was even easier to skip through them. Recorded it for you, got high quality, recordings, and that was great. And then they found ways to advertise you more and more. What they decided to do was, let's say, stream on Netflix at first was, I remember when you would get the DVDs through the mail on Netflix, and it was kind of an add-on that they would put some movies online. They weren't new releases. They were always like B-level movies. There weren't anything spectacular on the streaming service, but it was something that was pretty cool. You can stream a movie. You don't have to wait for the disc to come in. Then eventually everything moved to streaming. Forget about the physical disc itself. But now we're at the point where if you subscribe to a service, if you want to get the best deal, you're going to have to watch commercials. And you could be in the middle of a show and it just forces a commercial on it. You could be in the middle of a movie, it'll just force a commercial on you. And basically it taunts you. It says, you're going to sit here and you're going to like this, or we're going to charge you more money. And you're thinking, I should just pay the extra $8 a month. But then at the same time, you think, no, I can go to the bathroom. I can get up and, wash dishes for a minute. I can do something. I can look at my phone because I'm probably doing that anyway. I'll just keep looking at my phone. So they found ways to make it more accessible, but the experience declined. And that's what I thought with Amazon. Maybe it could have been a little bit different. Amazon found ways to make things more convenient from a purchasing point. You can go on their website. They'll get a box to you sometimes the same day, and you can have your item sitting there waiting for you on your porch. If not the same day, maybe 2 days from now. And it was amazing. It was just there. And it changed the way you shop. It's a behemoth. And it offered all kinds of other services, including the streaming, which was included as part of your delivery service with the Amazon Prime. Now they're saying they're going to start putting commercials in there or charge you an extra $3 a month to not use the commercials. And then I thought, this is one of the first times you're going backwards. Video has found ways to advance itself technologically, but go backwards when it comes to the user experience. Because Hulu and Netflix and Disney Plus and all of these big streamers, it almost seems like they all put commercials into this stuff now, YouTube with Google or whatever it is. I was watching a movie, and when they put the commercials into it, I thought this really disrupts the flow of it. I was hoping Amazon wouldn't go down this route, but they did. Amazon Prime, $8.99 per month. The Prime membership is about $140 a year. That's what we subscribe to. We have the Prime membership at our house. We don't watch a ton of the Amazon Prime videos. It's just kind of an added bonus. So obviously, we're not going to be paying an extra $3. And you know what the other risk of all of this is? If you have kids in your household and they watch programming on your account, the big question is, what's the ad that's going to be shown to my child? Is it going to be age appropriate? Because sometimes they're not. Sometimes, you're watching a show or whatever it is, and the ad is, I don't know, alcohol or, something adult, oh, take this pill, guys. It could be something like that. And they show a lot of those type of ads on there. It just makes me a little bit worried. Oh, we got a lot to get to on the show here still. And I'm trying to find more ways I can make fun of Taylor Swift. It's not like it's that it's hard to make fun of Taylor Swift, but it almost feels like I have an obligation when I'm filling in. And Leah, you're sitting in there, and when you least expect it, I want to put a jab in for Taylor Swift. So I don't know how many times I can do it this show. Maybe if people are playing from home and they have perhaps a bingo card, they can dab it every time they hear a Taylor Swift insult. Or if you want to go on the YouTube chat and make fun of Taylor Swift, I can go through some of those comments. Would be nice. Do you think people just generally like YouTube? An extra $2.99 comes out to almost a 25% increase. One person messaged in. That's really good. One person said they tried to watch the Barbie movie, but I just couldn't get through it. It was amazing that it took in over $1.4 billion. My wife really wanted to go see the Barbie movie. Really, really. And I said, honey,
too.
I said, I'm not going to see it with you. I have no interest in that. So she said, what if I go with one of my friends? Can I go? I'm like, okay, fine. You go with one of her friends. My wife knows me. She knows how to get me worked up. She knows exactly what to say to get me oh, you got to be kidding. There's one thing. She'll sometimes say things like, that's real, unlike the moon landing. She'll say something like that. Or she'll say, if I'm not getting something done in a timely manner around the house, do I need to call my dad to get him out here to help you fix this? Oh, that triggers me so good. The other thing that she came back watching the Barbie movie, she came back and she said, I think I'm thinking about dyeing my hair blue.
What?
You watch the Barbie movie and now she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to be a super feminist and I'm going to dye my hair blue and I'm going to start hating America. And I don't know what she said, but just in general. But she started working me up like this. And then I realized what she was doing to me. And I did not appreciate it. So essentially, that's what I'm going to do for you and Taylor Swift. I'm just going to find ways to work you up in the next couple of hours.
Right,
and anyone that
let's
may be
go.
listening that can help me with that.
Let's go.
Oh, Annie is also a Swiftie. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, Annie, we can't have it. All right, I'm filling in for a couple of more hours. If they'll let me, if the Swift Nation will, on 97.1 FM Talk.
Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to get the color red, the blue. I'm a dangerous man with some
Hey everyone, this is Sarah from Fantagram, and I am here speaking out about mental illness and the seriousness of this disease in hopes that we can overcome the stigma surrounding it. Last year, my sister committed suicide after her lifelong battle with depression and anxiety. There has been a stigma in our culture surrounding mental illness and suicide. This stigma can lead to discrimination and negative stereotyping, which makes it harder for the ones who are suffering to reach out. But it's okay to not feel okay, and it's okay to get help. We can all help by listening to people around us, encouraging friends and family who are struggling to talk to either us or professional counselors. We all need to help instill courage in others facing these challenges. And I'm listening.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300, and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonsace.hardware.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. If you get a new tablet or cell phone this year, recycle your old one, either by donation or an e-waste program. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, I'm Uzo Aduba, and right now medical information is not regularly being shared within the research community, but you can help change that. Patients can help accelerate research by sharing their information and unique experience.
Everyone's experience with cancer matters, including my own.
If you're a cancer patient in the U.S. and its territories or Canada, you may be able to play a part in accelerating cancer research and uncovering new breakthroughs simply by sharing your patient data with researchers around the world.
My unique experience can make the difference of life and death to some of the people in my community.
It is in our stories and data that the answers can be found.
Join Stand Up to Cancer, Count Me In, and thousands of patients like Maeve, Bridget, and Joel in this movement.
For our family.
For our friends.
For us all.
The information is out there. Together we can unlock it. Join in at standuptocancer.org/countmein.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News. GOP presidential challenger Ron DeSantis says the idea that one bureaucrat can unilaterally remove a presidential candidate turns due process on its head. After Maine's Democrat Secretary of State removed Donald Trump's name from the 24 GOP presidential primary ballot based on 3 complaints in her opinion that Trump committed insurrection.
Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows said that former President Trump was aware of what was termed the tinder surrounding the presidential election. Bellows contends Mr. Trump, quote, chose to light the match which triggered the riot, but it's unclear if the 14th Amendment was designed for this. Getting booted from the ballot in Maine is more important than Colorado. That's because Maine splits its electoral votes. 2 for the statewide winner, 2 for congressional districts. Mr. Trump secured 1 of Maine's 4 electoral votes in 2020. There is now an effort to impeach Bellows.
Trump is appealing the decision his legal team calls atrocious. California's Secretary of State certified Trump on the Golden State ballot, despite calls from California's lieutenant governor to remove him. Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine vetoed a bill that would have made gender change surgery on children illegal and would have restricted transgender participation in school sports. Governor DeWine says his decision came after much consideration and talking.
Parents have looked me in the eye and have told me that but for this treatment, their child would be dead.
The Ohio General Assembly can override with a 3/5 majority. Women's sports advocate Riley Gaines calls Governor DeWine a spineless coward. She believes the bills protect children from mutilation and women's sports from unfair male advantage. America is listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Still a little bit of a chance for a little bit of wet snow and light rain going through the afternoon, but overall it's cloudy and cold, 39. Tonight, clouds this evening, slow clearing late night, 28 for the low. Saturday, partly sunny, 45. Sunday, partly to mostly cloudy, 38. New Year's Eve, partly cloudy and dry, 30s for evening plans, 25 for the low. Monday, partly sunny and 38. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Wiggins America.
The best of the bits and skits. So all the comedy stuff that we've produced this year, we're packing it into one show. If you can't listen to all of it, get the podcast. This is one you want to hit.
Wiggins America.
Saturday mornings from 6 to 8.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 800. LumeDeodorant.com, code 800 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 800.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-730-2885. 800-730-2885. 800-730-2885.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Is your garage door loud? Letting cold air in around the frame? For just $69, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will perform their 26-task garage door tune-up. Just $69 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. OverheadDoorSt.Louis.com. Big news, St. Louis. McKelvey Homes is celebrating 125 years with the biggest sale of the year. Save over $118,000 on completed market homes. Plus, get a special financing offer with interest rates starting at 4.495%. Here's the lineup. 4 homes in the Preserve in St. Louis County, including a stunning ranch in the Glen Carefree Village, which includes all lawn and snow maintenance. 2 homes at Inverness and Darden Prairie, including a fully loaded display home, and 1 ranch home at Summerlin and O'Fallon. These homes won't last long. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And I'm Ryan Recker filling in for Annie Frey. Welcome into this day before the New Year weekend. I hope you get to enjoy it. Go vote in the YouTube poll. The question is, what are you doing on New Year's Eve? Something like that, Leah. Are you going to stay home? Are you going out and partying? Are you sleeping in? Are you going to eat an entire bag of Tortino's pizza rolls by yourself? What are you doing on Christmas Eve? Is that what the poll is?
Well, it's New Year's Eve, but yes.
New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, go and vote now. Let us know what you're doing. We'll put the results on after the show. So I follow Tom Elliott on social media. He's really good. And I think the first website I knew about that curated news clips was Mediaite, going back some years ago. But, the clips that were being curated, I think over time, it wasn't always the best clips. It was just always clips. And there was a new service that came out a couple of years back, and it was founded by Tom Elliott, where he puts these compilations from news stories that are gaining traction, things that people are talking about, sensational things that people have said. And he every day puts out new clips. It's great for talk radio shows. And every year he puts out the most mortifying media moments. And the things that stand out to me in these moments, and what I'm going to do is play for you the top 10 most mortifying media moments of 2023. And I want to point out something that I think is a common thread between all of these. When in when Barack Obama started to introduce Obamacare and tried to sell it on the American people that this Affordable Care Act would be a good thing, you found that a lot of people started to say the same thing about it. Celebrities, talk show hosts on television, newscasters on major networks, they started to say almost in unison some of the very similar verbiage about Obamacare. We later found out the White House was putting out talking points and bulletins on what they wanted you to say in order to get the right message out. They would say something along the lines of, we all know that it's important for people to get health care. That's why it's also important that you use your influence in order to get the right messaging out there. And that way we can help save lives. So here's what we need you to say. And if you do talk about it, these are the words we want you to use. Well, I guess it works with commentary. If you're an actor and you see something like that and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm kind of an activist. I mean, dabble, I'm an actor, activist, same thing. And they want to get that out. They have done that. And some of them got caught literally copying and pasting the exact bulletin points. And we noticed, oh, that's weird. All these celebrities, some of them are saying the exact same things, like literally copy and pasted. And then we found out once it was explained that, oh, you mean the White House was giving you talking points? So whenever you see a large group of people, and Rush Limbaugh was fantastic at doing this, whenever you see a bunch of newscasters using the exact same verbiage, I want you to be skeptical, number one, that they haven't been directed to do that. And in some cases, that they are told, if you play along with this and you help us get this specific message out, then you'll have access to the President Joe Biden, or you'll have access to one of his cabinet members, or you'll have, we'll let you know when something's going on. We'll give you a tip that we won't give to anyone else, and that'll give you a huge advantage. So they kind of bribe these journalists and news agencies this way. Not that they needed much of a bribe because they're already in the pocket. But what you'll find when you listen to this compilation is that a lot of them start to say the exact same thing, almost in unison when stories come out. And boy, are they wrong often, because they blindly trust the government, in this case, Joe Biden. So let's look at the 10 most mortifying media moments of 2023. At number 10, this is compiled by Tom Elliott. The media pretending to be sad that their enemy, Donald Trump, was arrested. So we knew a lot of this was going to happen ahead of time because they started working this and put it in the pipeline. We just didn't know how it would play out. But once it did happen, they all acted mortified, like this is such a sad, somber, terrible day for America. Were they fooling anyone that they weren't happy? So let's take a look at how they put this.
The left, full of somber support.
I think really this should be a somber moment. It's a sad day for America.
I think it's sad.
It's sad.
It's a sad day for America.
It's a sad day.
It's just really sad.
Sadness, I think.
It is a serious night and a somber moment for our country.
That this is a really sad moment.
It's a real sad moment. Do you believe for one moment that they were sad? Any of those commentators on CNN or MSNBC or any of the journalists, really? Do you take them I mean, honestly, if you had to bet your life on this, Like Groucho Marx came down and said, if you had to bet your life, the duck's going to come down and shoot you if you're wrong. You have to bet your life. Are they really sad about this? You would say, no, of course not. They're not sad about it. And guess what? You'd walk out of that studio with your life. That was number 10 on the list. Number 9, all the cool kids fall. President Joe Biden, he's had a lot of issues staying upright. If he's not fumbling his words or losing train of thought mid-sentence, if he's not out there sniffing people or trying to kiss children, if he's not out there getting lost on a stage, then you know he's probably falling down. And he did. He had his fair share of falls so far during his presidency. So how does the media cover it? Now, keep in mind when Donald Trump walked down a ramp and there was someone that kind of like escorted him down a ramp, they made it sound like he was the most senile, feeble person ever. And they made it look like he was just unfit for office because he walked down a ramp slowly with someone. So you have Joe Biden falling over all over the place. You would assume a fair media would probably treat it with the same criticism. But let's find out.
Peter, it looked to me right away, and they later confirmed it, that there was a sandbag there. It was a windy day. It was holding down the teleprompter stands, and clearly not well placed.
He tripped over I guess there was like a sandbag on, and Twitter and the writer going crazy. I tripped in my own house. I mean, it's not easy. Same. So what do you think it is about Joe Biden? Is he so enraging to the right because he is so normal?
I fell in the hallway because I was wearing high heels and walking too fast. He got up a lot faster than I did.
I also, it's painful to watch people trip.
It's the worst.
And in public.
Are you kidding?
It is the worst.
And presidents do fall. They do. They trip and fall.
He kept the American economy from falling.
I mean, the president could do full handstands on the economy. It's just a fact. The numbers support that, whether you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever.
Well, I mean, there are some people who are at their best in their 80s. My mom was using a chainsaw and doing her best work in her 80s.
Nancy Pelosi without chainsaw.
You got to be kidding me. No, he's perfectly normal. 81-year-old falling all the time. Perfectly normal. In fact, I mean, just the other day I fell. You should have seen me because, I'm just like Joe Biden. How pathetic is that, honestly? So all the cool kids fall on their face and they make it wall-to-wall news sets with Trump being helpless. Oh, the commentaries and everything they said about him. You have Joe Biden falling all over the place. This sandbag, phony story. He did not trip over a sandbag. He tripped because he's Joe Biden, and that's what he does. But, don't you love how they spin it? Oh, how such a relatable. I am just like the president of the United States. Now back to you. Wow. Okay, that was number 9. Compilation on the list. Number 8. It's the media giving Joe Biden a medal for going to visit Ukraine and then talking about it like he was the biggest war hero in the history of war heroes.
Air raid sirens and no real guarantee of security.
As air raid sirens blared. This was incredibly dramatic, Andrea. It was historic as well.
Historic, timely, and brave.
American presidents have made dramatic trips before. Nixon to China, Kennedy, Reagan to the Berlin Wall, and presidents have visited U.S. troops in war zones, but never like this.
To find a day of this kind of presidential bravery in a war zone, you've got to go all the way back to 1864.
Seeing the American president there, walking the streets of Kyiv while air raid sirens literally sounded in that moment about possible incoming fire from Russia.
With his aviators on to walk through in broad daylight in Kyiv.
The swagger of this trip.
Oh, the swagger of the trip. Didn't you want to stand up and start singing, America, America? Oh, it brought a tear to my eye. I was so proud of Joe Biden. Okay, so keep in mind, too, now let's just be honest here. They sent Joe Biden to Ukraine, which is fine. He kind of teased it, and then he goes there. Do you think for any 1 minute that he was actually threatened, his safety was threatened there? Keep in mind, whenever the president goes anywhere, when it comes to Secret Service or any type of military detail that goes around with it, that is the most secure place they can put together anywhere in the world. And on top of that, they always visit ahead of time, and they prepare everything very carefully. I've seen Secret Service do their job before. I guess I can tell. It's not an important story, but I've seen how they use security to detail and look through buildings. It's quite remarkable, the thoroughness that they have, because then the people know exactly every nook and cranny of everything. Now, when you're talking about going to a foreign country, do you think he just walked out and he's like, oh, he's there? What a surprise. It's Joe Biden. We had no idea. And at any moment, Russia could just walk right in and bomb it. No, it was absolutely fortified like Fort Knox with gold. So they make it sound like, oh my goodness, he was risking his life going to Ukraine. I think you should settle down a little bit here. And you can talk about the historic nature of him visiting Ukraine during this time, which is fine. But you don't have to make it look like his life was on the line to be there. Not really. Okay, you got to simmer down just a little bit here. That was number 8. Number 7. How about the lie that the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world continued to parrot over and over again when it came to, can you believe those those terrible Jews bombing the Palestinian hospitals? Oh, they did it now, didn't they? This is exactly what we've been telling you about, those war criminals in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh, he's such a liar. And there he is now. This is the proof. He bombs hospitals, innocent people. That lie was told so many different times. This makes number 7 on the list of the most mortifying media moments.
The government in Gaza says the Israeli Defense Forces struck a hospital in the center of Gaza City.
An airstrike hit a Gaza City hospital, killing at least 500 people.
Where a hospital was caved in, killing hundreds and stranding an untold number under the concrete.
The deadliest Israeli airstrike ever.
An Israeli missile struck the hospital. Absolutely horrific loss of life.
This is not the first time violence has actually hit what's supposed to be, obviously, a place of healing.
Deadly explosion at a hospital in Gaza. Palestinian officials say hundreds were killed, and they're blaming Israel.
Now, Hamas is calling this a genocide.
200 to 300 people believed to be dead at this stage. Also, many examples of, of civilian deaths caused directly by Israel. There's no doubt about it.
At minimum, 300 people are dead.
Egypt is saying it's very upset about this hospital bombing. The World Health Organization has strongly condemned the attack.
Today, the death toll rose significantly in a horrific attack in Gaza. 200 to 300 people were killed.
The Palestinians are talking about 500 dead.
Okay, let's digest this for a moment. Was that true? No, we now know it absolutely was not true. We know that it was themselves that bombed it, Palestinian side. Let's look at this too. When it comes to them quoting Palestinian news sources, keep in mind that is controlled by Hamas, a terrorist organization that uses it as propaganda. But the narrative that a lot of these main news networks want to run off of is that Israel's the bad guy. These people in Israel had it coming to them because they're oppressive and they're not on their land and it's all their fault. And this is the type of narrative some of them have set up. And this is a real divisive topic for those on the left right now, because you do have those that are supporting Israel on the Democratic side, and you have those that are supporting Hamas and the terrorists and saying that actually it's the Palestinians who want Hamas in control here. They want the terrorist state. They're actually right here, so we're going to support them. And when you have these two main topics, this is going to be a huge divisive moment in the Democratic Party during the primaries and really through the election coming up next year for them, because you got some that are looked at as very progressive that are out there supporting Israel and rightfully are doing so. But when it comes to the media, they're very much forget about what we can confirm. We're just going to take the word of some terrorist organizations and we're going to report what we've heard. Luckily, the word was corrected eventually, but not before they got the propaganda on their networks. That was number 7 of the most mortifying media moments. When we come back, we're going to continue down the list at number 6. I think you'll really like what the next one is. It has to do with the Bidens and the Department of Justice. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey. Thanks for all the comments that are coming in so far on the YouTube channel. If you want to go vote right now, what are your plans for New Year's Eve? We'd like to hear that. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
It drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it. Moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it. So don't stop. And under the lights, when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already
you like to make no mortgage payments for 2 months? Are you tired of making minimum payments on high-interest credit cards? Is student loan repayment giving you the blues? Your home equity is at an all-time high. Use that equity to save hundreds every month. Call 314-567-GOLD now and give yourself a payment break. That's 314-567-GOLD. Or visit goldenoaklending.com. NMLS 114937.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness 101 for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness 101. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Has anyone ever taken the time to help you at a point in your life when you were in desperate need? How did that make you feel toward the person that helped you? The word gratitude comes to mind. Hi, I'm Martin Winslow, founder and president of Bethlehem Christian Academy. Through the years, I've met so many children that have gratitude toward those who helped them through their child sponsorships. Currently, BCA has 2,000 students spread over 4 countries, full of children filled with gratitude toward those who've helped them. But there continues to be great need. BCA's ministry is transforming lives by feeding and educating poor and orphan children in some of the poorest places in Africa and South Asia. Here's how you can help. For just $36 a month, you can offer these kids hope of a better future, but more importantly, give them the opportunity to learn about Jesus. You can also join us on a mission trip to one of our several school locations overseas and meet the child you sponsor. Remember that feeling of gratitude you had toward the person who helped you out? Wouldn't you like to pass that feeling on to someone else? To find out more about how you can get involved with BCA's ministry, please visit bcaministries.com. That's bcaministries.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save $100 off a whole home humidifier and improve the air quality of your home while lowering utility bills. For details and to get in your comfort zone, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
He's always one of my favorites, and he's going to be featured on our Best of segment on Thursday afternoon, the legendary Kenny Wallace.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
All right, welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in. One person on YouTube commenting what they're doing on New Year's Eve. They said, I'm going to change my New Year's Eve plans. Taylor Swift's New Year's Eve plans anticipate her presence at the Chiefs game with the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday night. So I guess they're going to be spending New Year's Eve with Taylor Swift. Thank you, whoever posted that in there. All right. If you want to message us that way, you can. So I guess she'll be spending New Year's Eve in Kansas City, or she'll be hopping on her private plane, and we'll go preach about climate change after that somewhere else in the world. All right, let's continue on. We're looking at the most top 10 mortifying moments in media for 2023. It's a great compilation that was put together by Tom Elliott, and we just did 10987. We'll go to number 6 on the list. Number 6 on the list. It's the Department of Justice and the Bidens. Nothing to see here whatsoever. Here's number 6.
We keep hearing things from Republicans like sweetheart deal.
This is not some sweetheart deal.
Well, I don't think it was a sweetheart deal.
There's no indication that he's getting a special or a sweetheart deal.
So is this a sweetheart deal?
No, it's not. So it does not appear that this is a sweetheart deal.
They focus on this and say, oh my God, two-tier standard of justice. He got a sweetheart deal. And you're like, guys, I mean, you just sound like morons.
If his last name was not Biden, I don't even think he would have been charged.
His name was Hunter Smith, he probably would not have been charged.
Based on what we have seen here, it seems like a more harsh disposition than most people will get.
So I actually think, Biden's kind of getting the short end of the stick on this because it's such a high-profile case.
But nothing has been found to be illegal with those poor decisions.
They can't name one crime that was committed. He committed no crime.
Bending over backwards to not show any favor, even any appearance of favor to the president's son.
Oh, boy. Okay, so we got some major issues with that. Listen back to everything they just mentioned. There was no such thing as a sweetheart deal. No sweetheart deal. No sweetheart deal. Keep in mind that originally they agreed to squash all future prosecution against Hunter Biden. At some point, they came to an agreement of a slap on a wrist. And on top of that agreement, they promised they would never be able to prosecute him again in the future. Luckily, a rational judge looked at that and said, are you insane? You're going to offer future immunity? You're nuts. We wouldn't do this for anyone. So when this was going through, and all the people on the networks you just heard from there, and a lot of the Democratic strategists, the journalists on the CNNs and MSNBCs of the world looked at that and said, what are you talking about? This is totally normal. This is totally fine. So where are we today? You have the tax crimes of Hunter Biden, the allegations, and on top of that, more of the investigations. Here's what are some very serious crimes up against him right now. And a lot of times the investigations are still open. So I guess you have to say they're allegations, but I think the evidence is pretty much out there in the open. He was accepting money from foreign entities. That money was being funneled around. He wasn't paying taxes on that money. When the money was being funneled around, it went to other sources, including President Joe Biden, at the time, Vice President Joe Biden. We know, too, that the laptop that is been authenticated, it is real, documents a lot of his crimes. There's other drug crimes. There's other gun crimes. There's prostitution crimes, sex trafficking crimes, things that are documented into this. And that's putting it lightly without some of these other allegations that are out there of him in possible underage girls. We'll put it that way. These are all things that are up against Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. And what I'm telling you is all of these things you can go and view for yourself. And you tell me if giving him immunity in the future from every crime he's ever committed in his life, you tell me you're saying that's not a sweetheart deal. Are you insane? That was on the list, and rightfully so. Number 6. This is number 5. Now, the media attacking the whistleblowers. This is fascinating, too, because we talk about whistleblowers in the sense of giving them immunity to be able to report the crimes of the company they work for without getting some sort of blowback for it. There's some protections for them to be able to come forward and report these things without the fear of them losing essentially their livelihood, their life at this point. So, them getting sued to oblivion for releasing secrets from inside the company when they're doing something very illegal. Whistleblowers have been used throughout American history for many, many years. And when finally some came forward and they started to report on social media companies and the data that they're collecting, or in some cases when they're reporting against Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, then, boy, we got to pump the brakes on these whistleblowers. They don't actually count. Everyone else I want you to believe, but these you absolutely can't believe. Because why? They're damaging to Joe Biden.
And I'm not going to call them whistleblowers.
They don't deserve whistleblower protection. Each and every one of them has a strange history, has, guess what, Russian connections.
They always do. They weren't really whistleblowers at all. In fact, They weren't even credible witnesses.
2 or 3 people who are political operatives, but they're not whistleblowers. These guys are not whistleblowers, period.
Go back to so-called whistleblower. From the so-called whistleblowers.
See, so-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblower.
Okay, so let's be honest here. Is it possible that they were directed in the script they used to discuss testimony against the person they are biasly leaning towards, in this case, the Bidens? This is so telling. All of these things are very telling that there's a coordinated effort to get a unified message out, and they use the media to do it. And the media is complicit in doing it because the media has people working for them that are either direct supporters financially or cause-wise of the Bidens. And they go along with it because this is their cause. And their cause is to, what? Propagandize? Use their platform to propagandize? And it really puts a dent in real journalism. It puts a dent into honesty in this country when this is what we're being fed, and we're being told that if you disagree with it, then you are the problem because you're fill in the blank. You're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're a blah, 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 blah. They'll call your name. In this case, you're just... you're a Nazi supporter in this case or whatever. So that is the media attacking whistleblowers, disapproving of their Hunter Biden information that came forward. Number 4 on the list. It says, unfortunately, our critics need a deprogramming. So if you're a Republican and you look at the Biden administration and you look at him and his policies and the way that he's acted with Hunter Biden inappropriately, you look at these things and you say, there's something fishy here. It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. Well, no, actually, you're just not seeing it our way. You actually need a good deprogramming to fix you.
And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Deprogramming that might work in other cases is it's obviously proven to be difficult.
That any exposure to children about LGBT people is automatically grooming.
How do you fix it? How do you undo it?
Well, at this point, it's deprogramming.
That's what we're being fed. People of other races are out to get you. We accept that. We get fed that. And so when that doorbell rings or the basketball comes into your yard, your first response is to pull that gun. It's a programming that's occurring. The deprogramming question is much tougher to answer.
Ooh, deprogramming. So, hey, listen, you've been programmed to support Republicans. You've been programmed to support Donald Trump. You've been programmed to pull your gun when someone goes into your yard. You've been programmed for this. You've been programmed to support the Second Amendment. You've been programmed for freedom. We need to deprogram you for that freedom real quick. Again, the unified message continues, and they're not even trying to hide it at this point. That was number 4 on the list. Number 3 says the media tries brainwashing Americans to fall in love with the economy. This is so great. I really do hope Joe Biden tries to run on Bidenomics. This would be so fantastic to see this come up during a debate with Donald Trump. All right, let's take a listen.
Bidenomics, Biden's formula for strong economic growth from the bottom up. It's so much greater than even the experts in economic stuff expected it to be.
How are you feeling tonight? Are you feeling confident tonight? The Biden administration is crediting Bidenomics.
Bidenomics is changing their lives for the better.
Because real Americans are feeling the benefits of Bidenomics and how well the economy has been doing under Joe Biden.
If I were him, I'd actually be declaring victory. This economy is particularly good.
You look at the gas prices that came down. America is doing incredibly well.
Oh, this is so fantastic. Let's just look at the price of everything and you tell me how things are going. Well, inflation just wrecked the price on so many goods and services. That's not going to be reversed. You're spending a lot more than you used to. Bidenomics, it's not going to be, they're trying to disassociate the extra that you're paying and to try to say that, oh yeah, things are going swimmingly right now. You should be actually happy and thanking Joe Biden and the Democrats for continuing to push more of our inflation down your throat. And it can, inflation's still not great. They give this idea and this fallacy that, oh man, we got inflation under control. It's only up 4% or whatever the number is right now. And they'll say, oh, isn't that great? Keep in mind, it used to be like 10% or 12%. But When they say it's 4%, it's 4% over where it was the year before. So if inflation's up 20% right now compared to where it was just a few years ago, is that really great for Joe Biden to go out there and say, since I took office, inflation's up 20%? Is that really the ball he wants to spike? That was the media trying to spin the Joe Biden economy in the best of ways. I tell you, this is very telling to me of all the different things that we've been able to see so far. I really think that if most people were honest with themselves, they would realize that maybe they're listening to a message that's not coming from the talking head on the television, and maybe it comes beyond that. And I want you to experience this in your own life. I want you to think, okay, the media says I'm, racist for not doing this or that. And I want you to ask yourself, and I really want you to ask yourself, who knows me more? Who knows me more? That talking head on the TV or me? Just saying. Let's go to number 2 on the list. Biden's bribes are the story of just a fatherly love. Oh, my goodness. Anyone would have done it. I mean, if you're in the same situation to accept millions of dollars from your son, then you're only doing it to try to help your drug-addicted son. Then by all means, let's forget this whole thing ever happened, and let's just go on our merry way.
Joe Biden did nothing, not even approximating improper, much less wrong or illegal.
Hunter Biden talked to his dad on the phone all the time. They talked basically every day. Sometimes Joe Biden would say hello to the people in the room if he popped in.
These were more of just cordial hello types of conversations. Business was never discussed on those calls, and that was more casual sort of check-ins, casual conversations.
The Hunter Biden story, the scandal, the this, the that, it's also the story of a father's love.
We should put this in context. This is a time when Beau Biden, the president's other son, was ill and then dying and then passed away.
Very fraught and sad time for the Biden family, and we know how important family is to the president.
People in your families, they're ne'er-do-wells. This is as old as time.
You know what we've seen? A lot of pictures that show you what addiction does to somebody, and a lot of noise to distract from Trump.
Okay. So it's just a fatherly love. Don't you understand? Anyone would act this way. It's so funny that they use Chris Cuomo at the end, considering that he was fired from his job for his brotherly love. So let's look at Joe Biden as a family man. It's so funny they bring up Beau Biden. I don't know if Joe Biden has ever addressed that his son, Hunter Biden, courted and sexually became in a relationship with his other son, Beau Biden's wife, while he was dying and dead. I don't think that Joe Biden has ever addressed his grandchild that he refuses to acknowledge that Hunter Biden knocking up a girl, then fighting through paternity court, and then it took years for him to even admit that this grandchild existed, refused to even acknowledge this life and this grandchild of his. So they make it sound like Joe Biden is the biggest family man whatsoever. I want you to talk to some people that have gone through addiction with family members and ask them, is it a good idea to enable your drug-addicted child, enable him to the point where you are continuing to allow him to live in that drug-addicted lifestyle? Look at everything we know about Hunter Biden in his addiction and where it led him around the world with prostitutes and sex trafficking, because you're going through, okay, that's alleged, of course, you got to say that. But all this stuff on the laptop that has been authenticated, this is all being enabled by allowing your son to sell your access for him to collect money and continue on this vicious cycle. We have to be honest here. If your kid started acting this way, as a parent, your duty would be to stop everything you're doing and help your child. You would say, okay, forget politics. I'm just going to be with my kid from here on out. Okay? I need to set his life back straight. But that's not what Joe Biden did. It's not what he did. All right, we got one more thing going on. So this whole thing, like, oh, it's just a fatherly love, that needs some pretty big scrutiny on top of it. And you got to be really frank with this, because don't let that lie go out there and make it sound like it trumps all of the other problems that are with Joe Biden. Number one on the list we'll get to right after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Frey. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews from Missouri Brush Control. If you have acreage and have always dreamed of having trails for walking, hiking, biking, horseback, or ATV riding, but that property is so overgrown it seems impossible, Missouri Brush Control can transform your acreage, leaving behind beautiful mulch trails just like you've seen in state parks, and they can do it in hours with their specialized forestry machines. Learn more about this eco-friendly land clearing method at MissouriBrushControl.com and enjoy your land like you've always dreamed of. That's MissouriBrushControl.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is centered around your New Year's Eve plans. Will you be heading out, staying in, or sleeping through everything? Share your plans with us. The current time is 1:44. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Connect with the personalities and give your feedback. 97.1 FM Talk is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For content that's additional to the radio, join us there. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
And we're getting a lot of comments on social media right now. Let's see. Okay. I'm just trying to go through some of them. They're coming in so fast. I don't see Taylor Swift name, so I'm going to have to move on. I'll try to look at them again during the top of the hour. Where the Taylor Swift comments go? All right, we're going through the list of the most mortifying media moments of 2023. This list was compiled by Tom Elliott, and I thought he did a great job putting this together, honestly. It really goes to show you the unified message that they have able to put together, and the White House does a great job at allowing these bulletin points, or at least, I don't know, strong-arming the media. Maybe that's the right way to put it, enticing the media to continue on with their guidelines and bulletin points to say the same verbiage to make sure the message is unified, which, I mean, does borderline on propaganda at this point. The way that we see this laid out, is it just a coincidence that so many of the same thoughts and verbiage is used over many platforms in different people, or is it more coordinated? I don't want to be looked at as too sinister through all of this, but I think it's pretty clear this is coordinated, including, number one, what you've seen is essentially the world's going to explode if Donald Trump is reelected in 2024. They said this before, and they'll say it again, you know, everything terrible. You know, remember that movie Napoleon Dynamite? And Pedro is running for president, and he goes up on stage and he says, if you vote for me, all your wildest dreams will come true. The exact opposite is what the media is saying about Donald Trump. If you vote for Donald Trump, the worst of everything is, I mean, the apocalypse will be triggered and you're all going to be left behind. That's the Donald Trump world that they're filling. And this is number one on the most mortifying moments.
What would a second Donald Trump term look like?
You can't imagine the things that he's going to do.
And shoot visitors to the White House.
No.
Yeah. That means he can shoot the first lady.
We're going to see violence, the likes of which we didn't even see on January 6th.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
He will make himself into the Fuhrer.
Using martial law against the American people.
Create mass internment camps. Throw everyone into Gitmo.
Assassinate generals.
Ordering troops to attack American citizens.
Trump's very well armed and extremist base will try to kill people.
He's going to basically burn the house down.
The absolute destruction of the Justice Department as we know it.
A vote for Donald Trump may mean the last election that you ever get to vote in.
All right. Do you think there being maybe a little bit of a drama queen here? Do you think possibly that the media is going a little bit overboard? Come on now. That was number one on the list of the most mortifying media moments put together by Tom Elliott. I think he did a fantastic job putting that together. I hope you enjoyed it as well. All right, we got some time here. I got some other stories I wanted to talk about. Let's look at some of Google Trends. So every year they put a compilation together of what the most searched topics were over the course of the year. And the way that they put it out there now, it's really quite fascinating to see what may have been popular at the start of the year, maybe the top searched moment, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay that way for a long time. Let's kind of go down the list. And Leah, let me bring some of these up to you. And I want to know how many of these you know.
Okay.
And why they're on the Google trend list for some of the biggest searches of the year. Damar Hamlin.
Yeah. He had the heart attack in the middle of the football game.
Right. That was one of the very first large trending moments of the year. Now, he has since recovered quite remarkably, and it's turned out to be a very good story. So that was a very scary moment for him. Kevin McCarthy.
Of course. Speaker of the House.
Okay. Yep. Kicked out. Classified documents.
Maybe. I don't know, like, the direction they're going with that, but...
Yeah, because it could mean a couple of things. It could mean the documents they found inside Trump's Mar-a-Lago, which I'm guessing that's what it is. How about Alex Murdaugh?
No.
Now, that's down in South Carolina, where it was the murder trial.
Oh.
Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah, definitely.
I know. Did you see there was some news on the spy balloon?
Recently?
They believe the Chinese spy balloon, I think this just came out today or yesterday. The news was that they believe the Chinese spy balloon had access to the internet, so it was relaying back information to China. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
How about LeBron James? Why is he on the list? Because why not?
I can only imagine.
I have no idea either way. Because for this, there's so many different things.
Yeah, he always is saying something stupid.
Now, here's one person that trends a lot through the year. Beyonce.
Okay.
She kind of had her ups and downs through the year. But early on the year, she had an up. Big up. I don't know why. Why would Beyonce be on there?
I mean, I know she... I don't know.
With
I know
Taylor?
I know she went on tour, but I didn't think it was, like, headline-worthy.
Okay. Unidentified flying object.
That's not very specific, but...
No, it's not. Sometimes people post these photos online, and you don't know what it's referencing. Nor'easter.
I have no idea.
It's a big storm, the weather nor'easter storm. Silicon Valley Bank.
I remember the headline. I don't remember what happened.
It went belly up, so there's
Gotcha.
a lot of people that tried to rush the bank to get their money out, but not a lot of insurances. That was a tough one because it was in California, and you're insured up to a certain amount, but a lot of people had more than what was past to what it was insured, so they got in trouble. But then eventually someone took them over. So indictment, and I think the United States bailed them out too. Indictment.
Of course, the Trump indictment.
Got it. TikTok ban.
I think they're still working on that, banning TikTok.
Right, but if you look at the trend, it kind of peaked up, and it hasn't peaked since maybe the first quarter of the year. Gwyneth Paltrow?
I have no idea.
What? She has candles now, doesn't she, that smells like part of her body? Does she still do that?
I do remember that.
Such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas. And anyone here that's listening at home, just test yourself in your knowledge of why these might have been some of the trending stories for the year.
I don't know.
Clarence Thomas scandal there. They looked at some of donations that were given to him. People were giving him gifts.
Oh.
And they talked about how that could be looked at as influencing the court. We'll put it that way. Mifepristone?
I have no idea. I don't even know what you said.
I think that's the abortion drug.
Oh, okay.
Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, he got kicked out of Fox or whatever, kicked off
Yep,
Fox.
there you go. See, you're doing pretty good. You know a lot of these top stories. King Charles?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either the controversy with King Charles. I know he had sausage fingers. You remember the pictures of him with his ring? They could barely fit. He had these big old thick links on his finger. The Title 42 expulsion?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Title 42, boy, I don't want to get this wrong. I believe it's immigration, but I got to double check. It's that one I'm blanking on. Ron DeSantis.
I mean, he's running for president. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
He's running for it. Title 42 expulsions, U.S. government. Okay, that's where it came to immigration. There was a hold on immigration based on carrying disease over the border.
Gotcha.
So that was something that they got rid of, yeah. Okay, U.S. debt ceiling.
I don't... I mean, I've heard of it. I don't know what they're...
But more fights about the debt ceiling,
Gotcha.
Sure. Wildfires?
Okay, yeah.
There's always a wildfire. Yeah, there's a wildfire somewhere always. Submarine.
Yeah, I forget what it was
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The trip down the
It
Titanic.
was like a big deal, and then it happened, and everybody moved on.
The more I learned about it, the more I thought that's probably not the worst way to go because it was instant death for them. Done. So their reaction in their brain wasn't even fast enough to comprehend what was happening to them. It was just one time they were there, and next thing you know, it's over. Victor Wembanyama.
I have no idea who that is.
He was the #1 basketball pick, this big phenom from France.
Okay.
Affirmative action.
I know the words. I don't know what they're getting at.
And then right after it was Barbie. What a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden after that, finally. It took, I think, Google a little bit too long to pick up on that story. I'm just going to go through these for the sake of time. So we Mitch McConnell, because he froze up.
Okay.
Oppenheimer, the movie.
Yeah.
Maui Fire. Threads. And Threads has been popular really basically since it launched. A lot of people have been Googling it. I never got on Threads. I never used it once. Have you even used it?
I hopped on the trend for less than 24 hours, and then it was like,
you were done.
This is exactly like Twitter. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But I feel
Vivek
like a lot
Ramaswamy?
of people. Huh?
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh well, yeah.
Okay. Oliver Anthony.
Sure. Yeah, the song.
Okay, he did the song, the Richmond, north of Richmond.
Yeah.
Donald Trump constantly on there. However, if you go back just a few years, it would have been old Trump. Like the ability, his searchability would have been a lot higher than it is, but it's kind of going through hills and valleys. Hurricane Hillary, student loans, Joe Jonas. Why was he on there?
Oh, I don't know.
He's one of the Jonas brothers. A musician. I don't know. Kylie Jenner.
I have no idea.
Very popular search result. Impeachment.
Okay.
And then Dianne Feinstein.
I don't
and
know.
then strike action. That's a military term. And then comes Taylor Swift. And she was kind of laying low at the start of the year. Started popping up around maybe the 3-4 months in, and then has been very popular to clear out the year. Travis Kelce, very popular right around the same time.
Yeah.
Israel. Bad Bunny? Do you know, that's a musician. I don't know anything about
I know him. I don't know why he would be trending.
Yeah. Mass shooting, Matthew Perry, Sam Altman. You know Sam Altman?
I don't.
Well, that was the crypto guy.
Oh, okay.
George Santos, very controversial weirdo. Joe Biden in Ukraine. Those were the top stories from the year.
Okay.
Quite a year in searchability. I got to say, it is something else. So I'd say you've passed that test. If there was a test and Google said you have to tell me why these are trending, I would give you an A.
Thanks.
Leah, you did fantastic.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, something that TikTok, the Chinese company, is starting to ask its users for really should be clear of their intentions. And then on top of that, social media is making a ton of money of revenue from kids. A new Harvard study finds. I want to talk about that as well. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey. We have another hour here to go. Don't forget to check in on the live feed we have on YouTube on 97.1 FM Talk.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Yeah, military life can have its challenges, but sometimes veteran life brings more. While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My name is Greg Gadsden, 26-year Army veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
DAV helps veterans like me get all the benefits they've earned, and that can be a life changer.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won. With the right support, there are no limits.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Greg Gadsden, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Quite vacation land for Donald Trump. I'm John Saucier, Fox News. Maine's Democratic Secretary of State says former President Trump is excluded from appearing on the state's primary election ballot. Fox's Lucas Thomason explains Shinna Bello's reasoning.
She writes, quote, Mr. Trump, over the course of several months and culminating on January 6, 2021, used a false narrative of election fraud to inflame his supporters and direct them to the Capitol to prevent certification of the 2020 election. And former President Donald Trump not wasting any time responding to Bellows, saying, quote, we are witnessing in real time the attempted theft of an election and the disenfranchisement of the American voter. Democrats in blue states are recklessly and unconstitutionally suspending the civil rights of the American voters by attempting to summarily remove President Trump's name from the ballot.
And Trump is facing several more disqualification cases in other states around the country. This issue is expected to make its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. In Ohio, Republican Governor Mike DeWine vetoing a bill that would have restricted transgender care for minors and transgender girls' participation on school sports teams. Speaking about the decision in Columbus, Governor DeWine says his decision was designed to keep the state of Ohio from making private decisions.
Ohio would be saying that the state, that the government, knows better what is medically best for a child than the two people who love that child the most, the parents.
The Ohio General Assembly, led by a Republican supermajority, has the power to override the governor's veto with a 3/5 majority vote. A record number of Americans signing up for Obamacare in 2024. The Department of Health and Human Services says it expects 19 million people will sign up for the health care coverage by the January 16th deadline. Already a record 15 million have enrolled through the Affordable Care Act marketplace as of December 15th. America is listening to Fox News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Still a little bit of a chance for a little bit of wet snow and light rain going through the afternoon, but overall it's cloudy and cold, 39. Tonight, clouds this evening, slow clearing late night, 28 for the low. Saturday, partly sunny, 45. Sunday, partly to mostly cloudy, 38. New Year's Eve, partly cloudy and dry, 30s for evening plans, 25 for the low. Monday, partly sunny and 38. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
While no child should have to spend the holidays in the hospital, there are many at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital who will not be able to experience the joy of opening gifts around their tree. Please join 97.1 FM Talk and give the gift of hope and healing to Cardinal Glennon kids and support the Tree of Hope year-end giving campaign. Your gift ensures these brave patients can continue to receive the critical care they need during these challenging times. Thank you for giving at treeofhope.org.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 800 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 800. LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 800.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
STL Today is named Under Law 2023's best St. Louis law firm. We'll continue to make a difference, one case at a time.
When you're injured, call Under Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Critical thinking in critical times. This is St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Everyone is welcome. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
They got someone here knows what they're talking about.
Left up, left right, gotta love this American ride.
Hey, you need to take some time to get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's just not the same hearing that without Ryan Wiggins around. I feel like I miss him now. Aw. Wig Dog, where are you? Okay, welcome to the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Ryan Recker Radio, if you want to follow me on there. I got the comments. I've been going through those occasionally. And apparently we just need to be reprogrammed here. So that would be better. Good old reprogramming in mind, maybe tonight's. So I don't, we only have an hour here, so this is fun. The best way to reach the show, just leave a comment on there. We'll try to keep up with that. And I know Leah's been following some things and favoriting some as well that we'll read the poll question at the end of the show. meaning that what are you going to be doing on New Year's Eve? I can tell you what I'm doing, sleeping and hoping that I'm not woken up by gunfire or fireworks. Leah, are you on TikTok? Do you use that app?
I have it. I don't like use it.
You don't mind the Chinese spying on you? That's okay.
I don't know. You sound like my dad.
Your dad's right to
I
be
know.
concerned here.
I know.
So, you know that they are using it as a spy tactic, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not concerned that now any information that you share on TikTok or even privately, don't share publicly, will be read and is made accessible to those in China. That's okay?
I'm gonna say no, but at the same time, I have like all the social media platforms and I am very open on all of them. So, I mean, not much of me is private anyway for China to see. So, they can take their pick. They can take their pick on where to find out about me.
Your New Year's resolution is to find ways to be more private on social media. Say, okay, I'm going to turn a new leaf and I'm not going to put out all my personal information online. That would be a fantastic thing to do starting next year. No? Okay. I see you. You're like, not a chance. So have you ever been asked your passcode when trying to open up TikTok?
No.
Well, this is actually happening for some iPhone users. They go to click on the TikTok app and it says, hey, enter your iPhone passcode to get to TikTok.
Well, I don't have an iPhone, so.
Now, there's a website, dexerto.com. I think that's how you say it. So essentially, why is TikTok asking for a passcode on iPhone? Users confused by the password verification. Sometimes if you're doing something private on your phone, normally they mention it's banking apps. You probably have clicked onto like an app or maybe your settings. If you want to go to your settings and change something, it'll say, hey, re-enter your passcode real quick. Let me make sure it's you first. That's pretty common on phones before you do something that could, change a lot on the phone. Well, people aren't used to that happening for individual social media apps, particularly those that are run by China. So they were very perplexed. What's going on here? Is there some sort of spying that's going on? In fact, is there a way that they could be collecting also your phone's passcode data as well? So I'm going to ask you again. If you found out TikTok was able to lift your passwords off your phone, would you still have it on your phone?
I mean, no.
I think they're already doing it with saved numbers and things, probably.
Okay.
They probably have the ability to do. They've been caught so many different ways, and that's why TikTok as an app have been banned from government phones because they know this sort of thing goes on. So that's one of the scary things that are going on with TikTok. And some of them say, oh, it's just a bug. Oh, they'll work it out. It's just a bug. But again, I am too old and grumpy to agree with that automatically. Old and grumpy. That's how I live my life. Here's another story. Social media companies have made $11 billion in U.S. ad revenue from minors. This is just from kids, $11 billion. It's easy to lie on social media. It's easy for you to say you're an adult. But how often do you find that it's very easily worked around by them just saying, oh, yeah, no, I'm 13. I'm allowed to be on this app. And then when they say minors, I think they mean basically like teenagers. But this could also include those that are under the age of 13. Sometimes maybe the child is using the device because their parents are supervising them on the device. It's not maybe their device. It could be a family device, but still. Companies in the social media aspect, the Facebooks, the Twitters, TikTok involved, Snapchat, Instagram, users under the age of 18, they say they have made $11 billion off of them through U.S. advertising revenue alone, just to minors. This is a major concern. There's a few things, because then it sets up a conflict of interest with these companies. The conflict of interest being that this is a market that they can make a lot of money off of. So are they possibly bending ethics in order to market to them? I don't think it's a question of if they're doing it. I'm sure they are doing it. And how much of this are they hiding? Because they've gone through different congressional hearings where they've gone and said, no. You can trust us. We are self-monitoring. We are self-regulating. We got this all under control. We would never do that to a kid. But in all reality, do you trust them to be able to self-regulate in that way? Normally, you don't hear conservatives saying that we need more regulation when it comes to private companies. But I would say with these social media companies, these tech companies, I would say there's no way around it. I would say they've become so powerful and so vast and wildly huge that it would be a naive for us to believe that they are operating in our best interest, the consumer interest, and there needs to be safeguards put into place much higher than the safeguards that are already in place. Because in some ways, we have a bunch of politicians that are not tech savvy. They are actually tech ignorant, and they have no idea what goes on and how any of this operates or how any of this works. But I'll tell you what, we do have a lot of security experts that have already raised the alarm on all of these social media platforms, TikTok probably the most notorious. Researchers say the findings show a need for government regulation for social media, since the companies that stand to make money from children are those who on the platforms have failed to self-regulate meaningfully. This is from the Associated Press, writing up this. The revenue figures come in as researchers estimate the number of users under 18 in the 2022 based on population from the census continues to grow. Then the use data from the research, the e-marketer, now called the Insider Intelligence, a parental control app, estimates really how much time each day a child spends on each platform. And it's a really easy trap to run into as a parent. I will say, when you get exhausted and your kids have been running around and they've been screaming all day and they need your attention all the time, you just need to not have to cater to them like you're their butler 24/7. It's easy to say, kid, sit in front of that TV and watch some Bluey. Kid, let me give you your tablet and you can watch some Daniel Tiger on it. And it's such a tempting thing to do. And it's a thing that all parents do. But then you got to remind yourself, it's not good for them. What they could be exposed to could actually be damaging to them. So you have to really limit that time that your kids spend on these platforms. But the problem that we run into is our time is stretched so thin to begin with that it's very, very difficult to always be able to catch that. And I know my son, he's been exposed to some things he shouldn't have been exposed to, some words he shouldn't have been exposed to. Knowing that he goes to school and sometimes his friends or people in his classroom have older siblings that know words that we don't say in our household, sometimes he's exposed to them. And one time he came to my wife and said, "What does this word mean?" And it was a pretty bad word. And he felt pretty terrible that he knew that word. But once that genie is out of the bottle, there's no going back. That's pretty mild compared to the things that they could be exposed to on social media. On there, they keep in mind of the world we live in today where, like, let's just use Israel and Palestine as an example. If they're on an unfiltered account, people were posting the goriest war videos you could ever see in your life. And so much blood and destruction and mutilation. Even going back to Ukraine and Russia, people posting videos and photos on these things. Terrorists acting like terrorists. And Hamas is very open with their war crimes in the things that they and how they operate. And it's not just gore. Sometimes it's using sex and rape as part of their methods. Those are the type of things that if your kids are looking at unfiltered, unregulated access to social media, that they could accidentally stumble upon. And that's why you really, really got to be careful. And the best thing you can do is just not let them on it, even if their friends are on it, even if they say, "Oh, listen, this is the best. It's great. I can do this. I can do that. Oh, it's a great way to communicate. And I can even message you on there." I would say not until they're an adult, even through high school. My goodness, that's such a temptation. It's going to be even worse for them. Maybe the best thing you can do is just try to convince them that all of this is stupid and do your best to try to just move them in another direction so they don't have to feel like they're missing out on something if they don't have it. That's all dumb. Don't worry. This is stupid. Listen, you're going to do better, kid, if you put your attentions in other places. Go read a book. Trust me. Go read a book. It'll be better. One other story I saw, and it's kind of social media related, on YouTube. There's a guy that goes around trying to solve unsolved murders. Well, let me scratch that. Unsolved missing people cases. So not necessarily murders, just people who have disappeared. And what he does is he'll say, okay, let's take a look at the list of people that are missing. And then I'll look at the police report and I'll see where they were last. And if we can kind of like, well, okay, they were seen in this area and they weren't seen again. Okay, it was late. There's a river over here. There's a lake over there. What the guy will do is go on his boat and he'll use sonar and he'll start pinging the bottom of the lake or the river. And a lot of times it's too murky. You can't see down there anyway. But the sonar is so good and the technology is so reliable that you can tell if there's something really big down there. And he'll go through on his YouTube channel and document this. And he'll say, look at this. This is about the shape of a car. He'll then go back to shore, put on his scuba gear, go underwater, and if he'll see a car, he'll try to look for a license plate, and he'll see if that matches the missing description of who he was looking for. And believe it or not, he has been very successful at finding people. And this YouTuber helped find a missing Missouri Army veteran after 10 years after the veteran disappeared. Last seen in 2013, around this time, December 29th, vanished. In 2013, exactly 10 years ago today. Police were unable to find the vehicle. They couldn't find the person, but they had some leads. It's an amateur that does this for fun on YouTube that's able to solve these cases and bring closure to families. I think it's fantastic what he does. He's got over 1 million subscribers. James Hinkle is his name. If you wanted to go see the video for yourself, they actually follow it through. So after they find it, it shows him contacting police. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I found a car in the lake. It matches the description of this missing case. I think you should come pull it out. So then the police come in. They start their investigation. Normally a tow truck comes in. They winch the thing out of the water. And then sometimes, depending on how long the body has been there, it's nearly impossible to identify some people, except if they had some sort of distinguishing trait on them. In this case, this Army veteran had a hip replacement. So they had some different parts in him that were able to identify him as this missing person. Closure to the family after all those years. From Donald Lee Irwin, who went missing 10 years ago today outside of the Ozarks. The guy does this for fun. And I'm sure it's lucrative when you have 1 million YouTube subscribers and you get a lot of views on it. You could make some ad revenue doing something like that. But I don't think he makes enough to probably make a living out of it. But either way, he found a hobby that actually does good for society. So there are some good things that you find on social media every once in a while. So good for him. And I got to say, I'm just so happy that at least there are some happy endings when it comes to YouTube videos and also finding some of these mysteries. And he's going to keep going out and he's going to keep solving more of these disappearances. The other part that people raise, and I think this is a common gripe, is that if a amateur YouTuber with, regular equipment that you can buy off the shelf is able to solve these mysteries and the police cannot, what does that say? I'm Ryan Recker, filling in. Don't go anywhere. And I saw that there was another update to this Francis Howell District backlash with their courses. I want to talk about that coming up, too. You're listening to The Andy Frey Show. I'm Ryan Recker, 97.1 FM Talk.
I'll take you home if you don't leave me at the front door. Your body's cold, but girl, we're getting so warm. And I was thinking of ways that I could get inside. Tonight you're falling in love. Let me go now. This feeling's tearing me up. Here we go. Now she does it like this, will you do it like that? Now she touches like this, will you touch her right back? Now she moves like this, will you move it like that? Come on, shake, 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 shake it.
Have you called Stewie? Maybe 2024, one of your New Year's resolutions is going to be to get your financial house in order. I have seen news report after news report after news report about record credit card debt. This can be so burdensome. I know for somebody who's going through this, is embarrassing and you want to address it, but you don't really want to have to talk about it. I want to unburden you from that. 314-324-4440. That's the number that starts the process of you taking the bull by the horns and getting this set right. 314-324-4440. That's Stewie's number. Now, how does Stewie help you? I talked to you about mortgages and the bagel loan with Stewie. How does he help you with your credit card debt? There is a very good possibility if you have credit card debt that you cannot get in front of, that you can barely make the minimum payment of, that a refinance might be a very, very smart move for you to get in front of that credit card debt. Call him and ask him. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan and MLS number 226715.
Ever heard a podcast that made you say, wow, they really said that? Risk is the show where people tell true stories they never thought they'd dare to share. Listeners say the show makes them burst out laughing and crying. Good crying. Some say it saved their lives. Surprising honesty. The most jaw-dropping moments that are stranger than fiction. Think you've heard it all? Wait till you hear Risk. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Learn to make money 5 ways with rental real estate. Double your money with apartments. And get your map to financial freedom. And that map starts with a free workshop. Sign up now at lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the Join Free Workshop tab and attend online or in person. That's lifestylesunlimited.com. Lifestylesunlimited.com. Again, that's lifestylesunlimited.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005.
There's a music station that fits your taste at Odyssey.com. Download the app for instant access to hundreds of music stations and listen live to 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it or stream from 971talk.com. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back. Happy to be with you. I saw on the Fox 2 website there's an update to the Francis Howell District backlash. I think it started last Thursday night where the school board said, we are going to remove some of these classes, Black literature classes. And originally when the story came out on Thursday night last week, I was looking at some of the stories. And I noticed that KMOV was on the spot and they brought their cameras out and they only told one side of the story because I was very curious. I thought, why are they removing this class? So I watched the video of the news story and I read the news article and I noticed they didn't put the reason for it. They didn't tell another side of the story. They only showed angry parents protesting outside of this meeting in the result of the vote. I thought, that's kind of interesting. I wonder why they would not include that. And it took me to the Journal's website where I saw one line in there about why, and it wasn't even an explanation of why they decided to take it out. It was just one explanation of what the curriculum included, which is the Teaching Tolerance Project. The Teaching Tolerance Project is from the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's known as a pretty left-leaning attack group. It's very partisan. And the school board actually had an opportunity last week when I was filling in for Mark Reardon to talk to one of the board members. And you know what he told me? He's like, yeah, that was put into place before us were in here. We started to learn about the partisan nature of these courses in the curriculum that was being put together by the Teaching Tolerance Project and the Southern Poverty Law Center. And we realized that this was a mistake because now you're introducing these social justice type of topics into the classroom. And that's not what this is intended to do. So they said, we're going to remove these classes starting next year. Now, there's a big uproar. They said, why would you want to remove this? And obviously, there's still racism in America because you would remove these courses of Black literature from the classrooms. But they said, no, there's no reason for us to keep it if we know it's something that's bad. If it's a highly partisan attack group for the left and it's teaching these social justice classes from the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they said, we're going to replace it with something else. We have to decide what that something else is. Well, a week later, the school board meeting last night, I'm assuming it was last night, so I start to see these other stories come up. Fox 2 decided to put one on. The school district put a release out, and they said that they are replacing it with something else. So now they have something in place. First, they repealed what they had, and now they're putting something in place. Let me play some of the story about the backlash from Fox 2 did the story.
Less than 2 hours before Francis Howell students held a student-led stand-up meeting yesterday, the school board's president and superintendent released a joint statement saying that Black history and literature electives will be available come next fall. To add to the layers of back and forth and confusion to this story, though, a member from the school district actually told us the courses were never reinstated because they were never removed in the first place. But when some parents heard about the possible removal of these electives, as you can imagine, many were very upset.
Yeah, then they go out and talk to some of the more parents again. The board was introducing a new curriculum based on a rigorous and largely politically neutral organization. So forget about the Southern Poverty Law Center. That is very partisan group. And I was looking at, and I went online and I tried to search for Teaching Tolerance Project. And there are different, I guess, example curriculum, coursework, things like that have been posted. It's used in some high schools. It's used in some colleges. They also have testimonials. And there was one great testimonial that I think really summarizes what was being taught inside of that Francis Howell School District. It said, we don't just prepare teachers. We prepare socially just teachers. Teachers meaning the students in this case. They call them teachers. That means our mission is aligned with Teaching Tolerance's mission. I find that Teaching Tolerance is a place that I know is going to help provide timely and current social justice resources to our students who are teachers. It's going to provide timely social justice resources. If you're a school board and you don't want to deal with that nonsense, this woke junk, do you really want to allow that to stick around longer than it needs to? That's why they got rid of it. And I agree. I think it's not a bad thing to replace it with something that is more neutral. And let's look at this too. A big significant portion of the Learning for Justice materials focuses on race, the problem with whiteness, white supremacy, systematic racism, and CRT-based concepts, critical race theory. That's the type of junk they were getting from their curriculum from the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Teaching Tolerance Project. So that's why they got rid of it, and that's why they should have got rid of it. I mean, obviously, I think that's pretty clear. It doesn't belong inside of the classrooms there. And I think the school board made the right decision. Now they just have to get the courses replaced with something that's neutral, which it sounds like they've done. So good for them. All right, I just thought that I would address that real quick. There was another story I saw out of California. This is really interesting, and this is why you don't want Missouri to turn into California, because junk like this starts to come through the legislature. And you're lucky. The rest of the state's not like St. Louis when it's super liberal-leaning type of politicians that think this way. In California, a couple of years ago, they passed a law which will go in effect January 1st. If your company has more than 500 employees, so a lot of ways your mom and pops aren't going to apply, but your Walmarts, your Targets, think about these sort of things, will soon be fined if they have different toy sections that separate boys and girls' typical toys, meaning that your toys are going to have to be unsegregated by boys and girls, and then you're going to have gender neutral toy section altogether, else you'll not be in compliance with the law. How much nonsense is that? Like they're going to the point in California where they're regulating stores so much that they are upset that there may be a spot that has the Barbie dolls in a different spot where the Hot Wheels are. Like they said we have to regulate this. It's such a problem in California right now, which many people have pointed out. What insanity is going on there with all the other problems the state is facing? This is Tiana Lowe.
6% increase in homelessness over just the last year, with 68% of that homeless population not sheltered, which is the most in the nation.
Yeah.
California ranks 43rd out of 50 states in 8th grade math proficiency. And that's a number that's only gotten worse during the pandemic. And yet this is what you care about. Look, I was a child that, like, even though I also love dolls, I loved playing with trains and Hot Wheels because I was always a builder, a math person. I'm so lucky that I wasn't born in California now to insane parents that were obsessed with gender neutrality.
That's all you need to say. Just leave it right there. I am happy I wasn't born in California by insane parents who believe that this is necessary, this gender neutrality junk. A former state senator also discussing this law.
Well, there are some retailers who have already decided to start doing this, and that's probably how it should be. Rather than the government trying to step in and co-parent with parents in California, let retailers decide what's best for their customers and what their clientele wants. But the last thing we need is for the state legislature in California to decide, no, parents, this is how you need to shop for your children. And oh, by the way, if you have a son and you take him to the section where there are trucks or Legos, that somehow that makes you a bad parent. It's policies like these that are terrible for people living in California and, across the United States too, if any other states are choosing to do this. But again, we don't need the government trying to co-parent with us. We've got it just fine.
I know. Well, what happens when the government co-parents with you? Remember the phrase they would say, it takes a village. Some people looked at that and they said, you're right. It's neighbors helping neighbors. It's other people looking out for each other. It does take a village. But then it goes a little bit further when you start with the Hillary Clinton philosophies of the world, where, you know what, sometimes the neighbors know more than you do. So you're going to have to let the neighbors parent your children. And sometimes society knows better than you do as a parent. You just don't know. You got to get up with the times, man. You are just living in the back world. And listen, you got to stop living in the past. You need to get in line with the gender neutral everything, and we have to start segregating based on that. And man, don't even get me started with sexual confusion and all this other junk that we force on the kids. But it's the village that says it's okay living in California. That's a pretty wild left-leaning village, when most parents would say, no, that's nonsense, and we're not putting that out there. But they say, since people know better, and you have to listen to the village. That's kind of the mindset that they live in California. I'm just glad. I'm glad I'm not in California for many other reasons, let alone not like I'm making a bunch of money now. But how would you like to have half your income go out the door, and then on top of that, most of everything else you make go into your living expenses because of how expensive everything is there? My goodness, is it terrible out there? There was one other story I saw that was a follow-up. KSDK did a story, a follow-up of the closed down nursing home. What a tragedy that was. The nursing home that just all of a sudden said, sorry, we're closing the doors. Get out of here, kicking them out, those poor old people and those that needed the nursing home. It was actually quite sad. And I think a lot of people said right before Christmas, a lot of these people didn't have any other place to go, but they still needed the care. It was the Northview Village, December 15th. No notice to residents, no notice to employees, no notice to families. They said 170 residents, get out of here. 180 employees, you're fired. What a terrible, terrible debacle that I thought, wow, I don't know, can it get any worse than this? Well, your faith in humanity will probably be verified when I tell you that looters decided this would be a great opportunity to go in there. Now that there's no one there guarding, they can just go in and steal what they want from anyone that were residents there.
Employees spent the day packing up all of their belongings.
These are still resident stuff. These residents, this is all they got. So, yeah, they want their stuff.
Voice, a St. Louis nonprofit advocating for quality care in nursing homes, says looters have been stealing residents' personal belongings and things of value.
The Saturday after.
Let's just pause here. where have we seen looters in St. Louis? Well, these riots that went through the nation. You know, what we saw with George Floyd in Minnesota, and we saw Black Lives Matters starting basically across the United States, coordinated riots. And what we saw here in St. Louis, them burning buildings down, shooting at police officers, first responders. We saw them setting fire to other places. We saw them looting in places. What we saw was the acceptance, the normality of looting. And we see these mass lootings going on in some of these other cities in California where the laws are so relaxed that the people that go in and do these things understand that the prosecution won't follow through. They understand they can do this with pretty much immunity as long as they keep it under a certain threshold, which is a pretty high bar of a threshold, to the point where some of these major retailers are locking up all their goods and they move out of neighborhoods because they can't afford to stay in these areas that continue to get robbed over and over and over again. So all these people that live in these areas that like the convenience of having some of these, stores near a corner of them now have to travel pretty far distances and have to go through the hassle of getting an employee to get something like deodorant unlocked from a cabinet. It's so ridiculous that it's gone and been taken advantage so much for in California. But it's more than that. And I'm going to point this out with some of the other laws that we just mentioned in California. It's that mindset that they try to push on other states to say, you know what, maybe I can do that too. Maybe, what's the harm? I can go in and loot. And in St. Louis, it definitely has its crime. It definitely has its criminals. And it's had its hard time keeping its criminals behind bars, thanks to, people like Kim Gardner, no longer in office, luckily. But the remnants and the problems that St. Louis still has with the revolving door of criminals back on the street, more enabled than ever to go out there and continue with their crimes, encapsulated in the Kim Gardner tenure while she was in her position as circuit attorney. So now you have to the point where people feel like not only is it acceptable to go in and loot a nursing home, that they feel they can do it with immunity and not get caught. This is where we are now.
The facility closed. One of Voice's staff members and a volunteer were down helping families reunite and help make sense of the situation. And while they were there, they saw a few people going through the facility, walking into rooms, taking things like televisions and walking out of the facility with them.
Marjorie Moore, the executive director of Voice, says her team reported what they witnessed to police. Since then, St. Louis PD put out a real-time crime camera in front of the building.
As I understand it, there's additional threats happening. And so, the cameras can only do so much. It helps us identify who's doing this, but it doesn't necessarily stop people from doing that.
Oh, man. Is there like a St. Louis Robin Hood where they take from the criminals the things that they stole and return it to the people that it belongs to? I feel like there's very little justice left in the city of St. Louis for people that have been victims of crime. I feel like once they've been a victim, they just write off any idea that the person that committed the crime will ever face the justice they deserve. And a lot of times, who knows if they know who these people are that are committed and against them. In some cases, they may know who it is and still nothing happens. Even up to the point of murder can happen in the city of St. Louis, and you find that the justification and the legal system to the point where you go in for a couple of years and you're back out on the street with the same person that killed a loved one of yours. It's just a terrible, terrible thing how lightly we treat crime and how we try to justify how light we treat crime as progress. We have one more segment coming up. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Frey, 97.1 FM Talk.
Your home is very important in this Midwest crazy weather that we have. You always want to make sure that the air conditioning and furnace that you have is operating well. But sometimes the HVAC system that you have is doing just fine. Maybe it's newer to the house, and you just realize that in the hot summer months, or like right now, the cold winter months, it's just not doing the trick. You might need to have your insulation checked. And Air Comfort Service, they're the experts, the people who you can trust to come check this insulation service for you and rectify the issue should you find out that you are one of 9 of 10 homes that are under insulated. If you want to learn more about insulation services that they have at Air Comfort Service, let me encourage you to call 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. And you can talk to my friends Corey and Kendra. They run a great ship there. You can check the Google reviews or just take mine because I'm a customer of theirs and have your insulation handled by the best in the business. Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300 and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonsacehardware.com.
The T.R. Hughes Homes for the Holiday sale is going on now for the rest of the year with unbelievable savings. Hi, I'm Tom Hughes with T.R. Hughes Homes. We have several brand new completed T.R. Hughes homes that are ready now for immediate move-in. Some of these homes are already discounted between $30,000 and $50,000 off regular price, and each home will be discounted another $5,000 every week in December until they're gone. Wait a week or 2 or 3 for a lower price and take the chance someone else just bought your dream home. Wooded half-acre home sites in Arbor Valley and Winsville. A beautiful country setting in Riverdale, just 9 minutes from the St. Peter's Deerbergs, and Charlestown Landing in St. Charles City near Newtown. Don't miss this unbelievable chance to save tens of thousands of dollars on completed, move-in ready T.R. Hughes homes. This sale is over on December 31st. All of us at T.R. Hughes Homes would like to say thank you to the several thousand families that have trusted us to build your dream home over the last 30 years. From our family to yours, we would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year.
Warmest wishes for a joyous holiday season and a happy new year from your friends at Odyssey and Onder Law Injury Lawyers.
Go check out today's YouTube live chat poll. We want to know what your New Year's Eve agenda is. Are you hitting the town, chilling at home, or are you sleeping through everything? Let us know what you have planned. The current time is 2:44. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
You are somebody that I don't know, but you're taking shots.
Is this Post Malone?
No, sorry.
It's 7 a.m.
I saw someone on the feed say, you are going to get struck by lightning talking bad about the Lord's angel, Taylor Swift.
I saw that, and I was like, whoa.
What?
Even I was like, whoa. It's like, chill, dude.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. Well, here we are. I need to. Luckily, I don't leave my house, so I try to stay indoors as much as possible. Hopefully, lightning does not strike me through the roof while I'm sleeping. We'll go through some of these comments here in a little bit, and we'll also look at the poll and see what people are doing on New Year's Eve. A couple of car stories I wanted to bring up real quick before we wrap up the show in the next 10 minutes. But thanks for all the comments. It's unbelievable the amount of comments that are sitting right here. I got to say, I'm quite shocked by all of them, so thank you for all of it. I saw that Toyota, and this was an ad by Motor Trend, and I don't normally click on Facebook ads where they have these certain posts that are like, oh, you might be in line for a car or something. So here, let's start to show you ads for stuff. But it's not like that. It's not like that type of ad. It's a story of Toyota in the Southeastern Asian market releasing a $10,000 pickup truck. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoa, this is actually kind of cool. I wouldn't mind buying one of these. Now, I know that I've watched a YouTube channel. In China, they sell really cheap electric vehicles, mostly because, well, that's what the people can afford. And they wanted to know what it was like trying to import the electric truck into the United States. The channel is called Donut Media, and they're fantastic. I think they're great. But he went through the process. It's a $3,000 truck in China. When I say truck, we're talking about basically a golf cart that has a cabin over where you and the passenger would sit, a very small, not a lot of enclosure indoors. But it also has a vehicle that can get you moving. It's got these little tiny wheels on them. They look like one step up from Power Wheels. But it's got, an engine. Well, not an engine, but it's got the battery. It's got the lights. I don't even think it had a radio. But the $3,000 vehicle, they found they had to pay the taxes. They had to find a liaison that could ship it. They had to find a representative over here that is legally allowed to accept large, basically, shipments from other countries. They had to facilitate a space in a warehouse to accept this. Then they had to go and get it delivered to them. And they said by the time all this was said and done, to get this one $3,000 electric truck from China, it came out to like $10,000. So about, I don't know, more than double the price of it just for the shipping and, I guess, greasing the wheels, the bribes or whatever they had to do to get the thing into the country. So Toyota is a little bit different. So they released this in China and Southeast Asia, excuse me. So I guess that looks at a different area. And the truck itself actually looks pretty nice. It's so much nicer than the one video I saw on Donut Media. The front part of the truck looks like a regular truck. I mean, but they mention most of the stuff on here. It's almost all made of plastic on the inside and rubber. So nothing's comfortable about it. But, on the outside, it almost looks kind of bare bones type of truck. On the back, it's just a flatbed. So an added extra onto it. Just basically, you see the chassis, you see the tires. That looks standard. It's just a flatbed metal on the back, and there's no walls on the side. You have to add that on extra. But there's a lot of things you have to add on extra if you were to buy this. For example, it doesn't come with airbags. I don't know if that would actually pass the driving standards here in the United States. So you'd have to add that. Of course, that would add more and more to it. No sides is part of it. All flat glazing for the windshield, side, and rear windows. Limited number of upgrades. No anti-lock brakes, but it is a load-sensitive proportioning valve is standard, and ABS is optional. There's no airbags, no armrests, no door pockets, and there's also crank windows. Leah, have you ever owned a car that had a crank window, or are you too young to experience the crank window?
I have never owned a car, but that had crank windows. But when I was really little, my dad had a car that had crank windows.
Okay, your dad's cool. Plastic and rubber galore inside of it. Also, coil sprung front, leaf sprung rear chassis is upgradable, they say also. So the thing costs that it's a gas or diesel 4-cylinder engine that they put inside of it. I don't know what the miles per gallon would be on this because it hasn't really been tested, because you don't have to. Like the standards of what needs to be tested, much lower in China, hence no airbags. But they make these things today mostly because if you are in these highly regulated markets, it might come out to 10 grand, 5 grand, depending on where you're in some of these places. But basically, people just need cheap work trucks so they can survive in today's crazy world. And that's what it's built for. You just need something that gets you from A to B, and you can store some stuff on the back, getting to and fro to town or whatever it may be. So I see it. I like it. I like the no frills. And then I go around looking around, and it's like, man, if you wanted a truck anymore, even like a Ford Maverick, which is a pretty, I guess, dumbed down version, that's like 30 grand, 35 grand, something like that. And I think the Mavericks are cool. I like them, but it's a big price difference. There's how many cars do you find anymore that are under $20,000? It's a hard get because there's some stripped small cars that are basically go-karts and sound like them too. They might be under 20 grand, but it seems like you can't even find any new car for under 25. And that's is about as cheap as it goes. Most new vehicles today, what the median price is $50,000. Yeah, this wouldn't fly in the United States, but I would like it. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, I saw something else online. So Tesla has the Cybertruck out now. Some people have purchased it. They're driving it around. I've never seen one myself in person, But the Cybertruck, it almost looks like it's gray like a DeLorean, so stainless steel, and it's shaped boxy. I don't know exactly the right way to describe it. I think you would have to see it to understand. It's called the Cybertruck by Tesla, and it got into an accident. I think it's the first reported accident that people have seen from the Cybertruck, and it got into a collision with the Toyota Corolla. Now, do you want to guess what happened to each vehicle in this? So the Tesla stainless steel Cybertruck involved in its first reported accident after hitting the road last month. Toyota Corolla was left crumpled, appeared to collide head-on with the fully electric bomber-like vehicle on Thursday. When they showed the Tesla, at least from the side, it looked like there was almost no damage on this thing. That thing's probably built like a tank, and rightfully so. I think some of the windows are purported, they tried to show off reportedly that they were bulletproof. Like they can take some pretty strong damage on these windows. So the 17-year-old driver was not hurt, told local police. Cybertruck, meanwhile, appeared to be in perfect condition, although the front end wasn't clearly visible, though it was off to the side of the road. But otherwise, if you look at the Toyota, the front end looked like it was basically totaled. The Cybertruck did not. So I'm guessing when it comes to collisions, this thing could fare pretty well. Yeah, I'm looking at the front end of this Corolla. I mean, the hood is up. The whole front end is smashed. All the airbags are out. It looks like in the Cybertruck, the airbags are deployed, but it almost looks like there's no damage otherwise. And since it's an electric vehicle, it doesn't really have a lot of cabin space where the engine would be. So the front of it is basically, the headlights. Then you have the wheel wells and the base there. And then you have where the person would sit on the inside, but a pretty long glass windshield. It may look like there's a little bit of glass. I can't tell if the glass is a little shattered on it, but otherwise it doesn't look like there's any damage to the body of the Cybertruck. I think that could be, not that you'd want to make that into an ad, but I think if you wanted to, you might be able to make it into an ad. All right, good old car stories. Leah, are you checking the YouTube poll? I'm kind of curious how people are going to be spending their New Year's Eve. So how does it look so far? So let's read the question again and their options, and let's see how people voted.
Yeah, so the question is, what are your plans for New Year's Eve? Are you going out? Are you staying in? Or are you going to sleep through everything?
Yep. 1, 2, 3. That's your only options?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super creative.
Yeah. What are okay, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I am going to be snoring until my wife pokes me and says, stop snoring. And then I'll roll over and then I will try to fall back asleep. That's what I'll be doing.
Cool.
What's the poll? What's the results?
Well, which do you think most people are doing?
Staying home.
Yeah, you'd be right. 68% are staying in.
Got it.
14% are going out, and 17% are sleeping.
Isn't that something? More people are going out than just sleeping. That surprises me.
Yeah.
I would be an advocate for it ain't worth it. I'm an old dude. I'm 40 now. I feel old in a lot of different parts of my body. And in the way I think, I definitely think like a 70-year-old. I know that about myself. I'm self-aware. But I'll tell you this, too. Going out and partying on New Year's Eve, that's a young man's game. That ain't for me anymore. What are some of the comments that people gave? Any funny ones about this? Or are they going out to see Taylor Swift in Kansas City when the Chiefs are playing? What did they say? What are they playing? The Bengals or something this weekend? I can't remember. Someone pointed it out that that's where they wanted to go.
Erica said, my husband and I will probably go out to dinner, but the stroke of midnight, we will be in our PJs.
Nice.
And somebody named Michael agreed with them, said he's doing the same thing.
They're going to be also watching her and her husband go out to dinner, and then through the window at midnight, they will be watching that couple with the PJs. That's a weird thing to like. In radio, I've had to work New Year's Eve celebrations. I've always hated those because it's not like I went out and celebrated. I just hated working late night holidays like that when I was younger. And they never asked you for your permission. They just said, you're assigned to this New Year's party. You're going to go out there as a representative of the radio station, if you like it or not. Don't worry, we'll give you $100 talent fee or something like that for you to give up your entire night when you wanted to do nothing but sit at home.
Yeah. RSG said, and I thought this was funny, he's like, I gave up drinking for the new year. Sorry, that came out wrong. I gave up drinking for the new year.
I gave up,
Well,
started drinking for the new year,
dot,
basically.
drinking. He's
No, I
saying
got
he
you,
gave
yeah.
up, and I'm just going to drink for the new year.
Who's RSG? Is that a known listener that comments a lot onto the
Yeah.
YouTube polls?
Yeah, fairly regularly.
They were all over when I was scrolling through the comments. They were all over the place. All right, so did not give up drinking. So RSG is going to wake up with a hangover on Monday morning. We know how that'll go. Good luck with that. You know what they say? Pedialyte helps. Drink a bunch of Pedialyte the night before. Hydrate yourself. You know what I found out? Can I tell you what a soft I've gotten as in my older age? I drank too much soda one day. Too much soda. At one night, I was hanging out with my friends playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I had 3 bottles of soda with a ton of sugar in them, of course. I woke up hungover the next morning. I had so much sugar.
Wow.
That's what it's like getting old. Now I got to drink diet soda and I got to drink decaf coffee half the time now because my body can't handle it anymore. This is not good. Don't get old. Now I'm sleeping. New Year's Eve comes around. I'm in bed sleeping. I'm not staying up watching the ball drop because that's boring anyway. Enjoy your new year. Happy New Year to you. Be safe this weekend. We'll see you later. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending our freedom. And when they come home,
I had just come home from serving over in Germany. Next thing I know, it was 3 weeks later. I was paralyzed.
While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed for the rest of my life.
I was on a routine patrol, and we were in the desert of Kuwait, and the vehicle flipped and landed on top of me, which left me paralyzed from the waist down.
okay, folks, this is heroism. That's why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America, because they've kept their promise to never leave a fallen soldier behind. A roof over their heads, accessible homes, cars,